Good morning, welcome to Breakfast with Sally Nugent and Dan Walker.
Our headlines for you today. Blackpool's Jake Daniels becomes the first current male professional footballer in more than 30 years to come out as gay.
Now I just do feel like I'm ready to be myself, be free and just be confident with it all.
Hundreds of Ukrainian fighters are evacuated from a steelworks in Mariupol, having been trapped for more than 2 months.
We've had the words, we now need action. That is the message from the DUP as the government prepares to set out its strategy for the Northern Ireland Protocol.
Warnings of another big rise in food prices. Good morning. The Governor of the Bank of England uses the word apocalyptic in reference to pressure on supplies because of the war in Ukraine. What could that do to an already volatile job market here?
Good morning. In sport, Arsenal's Champions League qualification hopes are in tatters. They were beaten 2-0 at Newcastle, with Tottenham now in pole position to clinch 4th spot.
And a pretty humid day to come, with some eastern areas under hazy sunshine seeing some of the highest temperatures of the year. But if you're in the west today, early sunshine will give way to cloud and eventually some outbreaks of rain. I'll have all the details with your forecast here on Breakfast.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, the 17th of May. Leading figures in sport, politics and entertainment have praised the Blackpool striker Jake Daniels after he announced he's gay.
It's the first time in more than 30 years that a male footballer has come out while still playing for a professional club in the United Kingdom. The 17-year-old said it's a relief to be honest about his sexuality. Our LGBT and identity correspondent Lauren Moss reports on a turning point for British football.
He's one of the Championship's emerging young stars, and usually Jake Daniels' football does the talking. He scored 30 goals for Blackpool's youth side this season. But now, at the age of 17, he says he doesn't want to hide who he is off the pitch anymore, and has become the first UK footballer in the men's side to come out as gay in 30 years.
It's been such a long time of lying, and I've just processed every day of just about how I want to do it, when I want to do it. And I think now is just the right time to do it. You know, I feel like I'm ready to tell people about my story. I want people to know the real me. And lying all the time just isn't what I've wanted to do, and it has been a struggle. But now I just do feel like I'm ready to be myself.
Justin Fashanu was the first and, until now, the only professional player to reveal he was gay while still in the game in 1990. He took his own life 8 years later. Daniels is just one of 2 openly gay footballers in the world, after Australia's Josh Cavallo made his own announcement last October.
I'm a footballer and I'm gay.
Others spoke out after hanging up their boots.
You go from being scared to excited to being worried to being, apprehensive, but all of that combined, it's a really special moment, and it saves lives. The bottom line of it is somebody somewhere thinks they're better off dead than for the world to know who they are. So, first and foremost, it adds a layer of confidence and inspiration and hope for people who are, living in silence.
Daniels' announcement has also been welcomed by colours across the political and sporting spectrum. Prime Minister Boris Johnson tweeted to thank him for his bravery, saying it would have taken huge courage. Former Man United and England star Rio Ferdinand said the decision deserved massive respect and called for a safe and supportive environment, a sentiment echoed by the Premier League, which tweeted, "Football is for everyone."
He's going down a path that many, many others will follow. They've probably just been waiting to see how it pans out for whoever's first. And I think once they see that the overwhelming majority of people will be more than accepting, others will follow suit.
Jake Daniels only made his Championship debut earlier this month. He says he's taken another step into the unknown, but keeping his sexuality secret affected his mental health. Being open is already having results on the pitch.
The day I told my mum and my sister, the day after I scored 4, so it just shows how much of a weight off the shoulders it was, and just a massive relief.
He hopes his truth will be the inspiration for others.
Well, Lauren is outside Blackpool Stadium, Bloomfield Road, for us this morning. Good to talk to you. There has been, hasn't there, a very positive response from both players and sporting bodies to this news.
Morning, Dan. Yes, there absolutely has been on the front and the back pages this morning, and Twitter was alight last night with lots of people sending their well wishes to Jake Daniels. And you might think in 2022, why does a player's sexuality, whether they're gay, bisexual or straight, matter in this day and age? But the reason it matters is because Jake Daniels is the first player currently in the men's game playing professionally to come out as gay since Justin Fashanu in 1990. Although there are some players who've made that announcement after they've retired, this is a really significant turning point for football. It could be the first step in towards acceptance, into removing that stigma around homosexuality and a lot of the the slurs about this, the abuse that some players can receive, and fans chanted from the stands and on the pitch that so often put down to banter. And there have been campaigns for years to try and stop this, with various charities and clubs really trying to drill down to it into a grassroots level. And for a 17-year-old like Jake to make this announcement, he's only just signed his first professional contract. He's a local lad. He lives down the road. It's huge for Blackpool. And he said as well that, the club was the first people that he told after he spoke to his mum and his sister, and he said that they've been nothing but supportive to him. He said they asked him a lot of questions and they were just really pleased that he felt he could talk to them. And they've put out a statement themselves today as well, saying that they congratulate him. They think that what he's done is very brave, and they want the sport to be a welcoming place for all. And that's something that was echoed by football clubs last night and the Premier League as well. And as for Jake Daniels, he says that he knows that there might be some negativity, there might be another side of the reception to this, and I think that's what we'll all be watching and waiting and seeing, if other players will follow in his footsteps. For now though, he's hoping that he can be a role model and an inspiration to others, and I think if you read the front and back pages this morning, that's certainly what he seems to be.
Lauren, good to talk to you. Thank you very much for that. And 264 Ukrainian fighters have been evacuated from steelworks in Mariupol, where they have been holding out against a fierce Russian attack for more than 2 months.
The troops, many of them badly injured, have been taken to Russian-held parts of Ukraine. Well, Joe Inwood is in Lviv for us this morning. Morning, Joe. What more can you tell us about what's happened?
Well, we're not certain this is the end of the siege of Mariupol, because there are, we understand, still some fighters stuck inside the plant. But if we are seeing it drawing to a close, it's probably not the way that many people had expected it. This has been the fiercest, the most bitter, the most bloody battle of this entire war, the siege for this crucial southern port city. And what we saw late last night, under kind of a shroud of secrecy, as this whole process has been really, was a number, we think about 53 wounded servicemen being brought out on stretchers to be taken to a medical facility for treatment, and another 211 soldiers who were brought out as well and taken to a separate facility. Now, we don't know exactly what process has taken place here, but we understand it's the Red Cross involved and the United Nations involved as well. And why that matters, I think, is because those two international bodies are the ones who managed to secure the previous releases of the people stuck inside, the civilians stuck inside, and I think they've built up a sense of, say, trust, which was a crucial element which had been lacking before between these two belligerents, obviously. And so the fact that those bodies have been involved means that the Ukrainians have been happy for their troops to be evacuated to Russian territory. Now, what happens to them next is a really big question. We don't have an answer to that, but President Zelensky said in his nightly address last night that the most important thing was that his heroes, as he called them, are getting out alive. I think both sides will try and paint this as some sort of victory. The Russians, because they will now say they have control over this strategically crucial city. For the Ukrainians, and they have said this, they say they've done their job. They say they've held off the Russian advance for so long that it's allowed the rest of the Ukrainian forces to regroup, and that now they can come out of there and they will come out as national heroes.
Joe, thanks very much indeed.
The Foreign Secretary, Liz Truss, is expected to make a statement to Parliament today, paving the way for making changes to the post-Brexit trading arrangements for Northern Ireland, known, of course, as the Protocol.
Well, let's take you live, shall we, right now to Stormont this morning. That's the scene there. Boris Johnson was in Belfast yesterday for talks with the DUP and Sinn Féin. We're going to be talking to our correspondent right there later in the programme.
Our chief political correspondent, Adam Fleming, is in Westminster this morning. Adam, good morning to you. Any idea what we could expect Liz Truss to say today?
Well, I think it might not be quite as dramatic as some people thought today might be. The Cabinet are going to meet in a couple of hours to decide exactly what to do. But it's looking like Liz Truss will restate the government's position today, which is that they want to negotiate changes to the bit of the Brexit deal that applies to Northern Ireland with the EU. But if those negotiations don't go the UK's way, then the UK will reserve the right to pass legislation, new laws in the UK, which would override the deal that they signed with the EU, certainly how it relates to Northern Ireland. Now that means more negotiations of a deal that Boris Johnson negotiated and himself signed up to a couple of years ago, which is something he discussed yesterday while he was in Northern Ireland with our political editor, Chris Mason.
I think it's very important to recognise that the protocol is a classic piece of Brussels negotiation.
Which you signed up to?
Yes, and I signed up to in good faith, imagining that it would not be interpreted in too pharisaical or draconian
Are they
way.
acting in bad faith now?
I think what they're doing is being overzealous in the way that it's being applied.
So what the EU would say is that the terms of the protocol were pretty clear and there were some flexibilities built into it, but that the UK is going way beyond what those flexibilities are that are envisaged in the actual treaty. So let's wait and see what Liz Truss says today. I think she will spell out the areas where the UK would take action and give some clues. I don't think we're going to see like a draft or a set of paragraphs of what this legislation would look like. So it still remains a kind of tool in the negotiations with the EU, sort of saying to Brussels, if you don't play ball, if we don't reach a deal together, this is what we, the UK, would do, which could trigger eventually some retaliation from the EU. But I don't think what the UK is going to do today will be dramatic enough for the EU to say, we're going to stop talking. So you know what that means? We're negotiating.
We do love a bit of negotiation. Thank you very much for that, Adam. We'll see you later. We'll be speaking to Brandon Lewis from the government at 7:30 on the programme today.
Yeah. It is 11 minutes past 6. Special day today. Do you know why?
Because Matt's here.
Yes!
It's all about me, Dad. All about me.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning. I couldn't let you slink off without saying goodbye in person, could I? But,
lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you both.
What are you doing here, Matt?
I brought a bit of warmth with me.
Oh, good.
For a change.
It's a beautiful morning outside, isn't it?
Beautiful morning.
Yeah.
I wish I'd stay that way.
Yeah. Oh.
Rain on everybody's
Don't ruin it.
Anyway, yeah, lovely morning for many of you. Very good morning to this is the scene in Nottinghamshire just a short while ago as the sun came up, but it will be a day of change. There's cloud already gathering towards the west, some outbreaks of rain developing this morning. West Wales, eastern Northern Ireland and towards parts of southwest England. Most though dry, quite a bit of cloud in places, but some sunny spells breaking through. The low cloud across Shetland will be fairly stubborn, but you did have the lion's share of the sunshine yesterday. And with that rain developing in the west, we're going to start to draw in more of a southerly wind. It's already quite humid out there, but we could see the highest temperatures of the year so far. 20 degrees in parts of Scotland, maybe 26 towards the southeast. Western areas, not quite as hot. It's still going to feel quite muggy, but it's here where we see that rain become more of a feature, especially into the evening rush hour. Batch of heavy rain working across parts of Devon, Cornwall into Somerset, through a good part of Wales as well. Could be some thunder with that, spreading it across Isle of Man, just fringing into coast of northwest England, eastern parts of Northern Ireland and western Scotland. So these are the areas where we finish with a wet rush hour. The rain, heavy at times and thundery, pushes its way northwards and eastwards through tonight. Just a few showers in the west. Not quite as humid tomorrow morning as it is this morning, but a fair bit of sunshine around before we see some more heavy showers develop later in the day towards the southwest. More details on that later. I will see you then.
See you then, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's, what is it? 30 minutes past 6.
It's very early.
Yes, it is very early, yeah. The Duke and Duchess of Cornwall are travelling to Canada for a 3-day tour to celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee.
The visit highlights a special bond between Her Majesty and Canada, which she first visited more than 70 years ago. Our royal correspondent Sarah Campbell has more.
The most easterly city on the North American continent, St. John's in Newfoundland. In 1583, an English adventurer claimed the harbour for Queen Elizabeth I. More than 400 years later, her descendant and namesake remains Canada's Queen.
And as the Ontario entered St. John's Harbour, the Princess took her own cine camera to film the rocky coastline of Newfoundland.
She first visited as Princess Elizabeth in 1951, and it is the country outside the UK she's returned to most often, completing 22 royal tours. Her son is expected to talk about the profound affection she feels for Canada and its people. getting ready for the return of the royals. The repainting, touching up and cleaning down has been in full swing in Kiddie Harbour in St John's ahead of Prince Charles and Camilla's arrival.
We're really, really excited to have them visiting Newfoundland and Labrador as one of their 3 stops on the tour.
And tasting your beer.
And tasting our beer, definitely. We're gonna make sure that their Royal Highnesses get a chance to pull a pint. So we probably don't have a lot of stuff to teach people from the UK about pulling pints, but maybe we got a few tricks.
And it really is a packed schedule. From here in picturesque Newfoundland, it's off to the capital, Ottawa, and then to the Northwest Territories, travelling 2,000 miles in a little over 48 hours. And we're told on the agenda, the treatment of Indigenous peoples, climate change, and thanking those people who, like the Queen, have lived a life of service.
The next morning, after a formal tree planting ceremony at Government House, the Prince visited Parliament buildings in Ottawa.
Just like his mother, Charles has been a regular visitor to Canada. His first tour was back in 1970. The most recent with the Duchess of Cornwall in 2017. This time round, every word said, every gesture made will be scrutinised, perhaps as never before. Coming as it does less than 2 months after the Caribbean tours, which sparked such negative headlines due to perceived PR missteps, unfortunate camera angles, and the clear message the royals were given that the future would be a Republican one.
And we're moving on.
In Canada are the battle lines being drawn. While the Constitution is a complicating factor, there is a widely held view that the fact that all 10 of the provinces would have to agree to removing the Queen as the head of state makes a Canadian republic unlikely, at least for now. But public opinion in downtown St John's backs up recent polls suggesting attitudes towards the royals are mixed.
I kind of think that the whole royal family is a throwback that we don't need anymore.
I think it's great that they're coming to visit. Yeah, I mean, it's been quite a while, I think, since there's been any members of the royal family to visit the province, and I think that's wonderful. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I had no idea. I guess because we're from Quebec, right? So our sense of belonging would be not as, I suppose, pronounced as other Canadians, I guess. So we're familiar with the royal family, but it doesn't feel like we necessarily relate that much.
To me, there's more going on in the world right now than having a royal visit. Not too far from London itself, there's a war going on. You know, that's more on the back of your mind than a royal visit right now. That's how I feel.
It's very beautiful, and you can see the specks of blue.
Hosting the royals at Government House is the Lieutenant Governor, the Queen's representative in the province.
There are differing opinions, but everybody's entitled to their opinion, and you never, suggest that they shouldn't have their own opinion. But by and large, I think the response will be positive, and they will feel comfortable here.
This is familiar territory for a prince who prioritises listening and learning. Key skills for the man who will one day be Canada's king. Sarah Campbell, BBC News, St John's, Newfoundland.
It is 18 minutes past 6. We're going to bring you right up to date with all of this morning's newspapers, shall we? Should we start with the Times?
Go on then. The Times has a striking picture of one of the Ukrainian soldiers under siege in those steelworks in Mariupol I've been telling you about. Ukraine has confirmed that 264 fighters have been evacuated.
Most of the papers, including The Guardian, feature a photograph of the Blackpool player Jake Daniels after he comes out as gay.
Let's show you The Sun. They're bringing us the latest, the ongoing libel case at the High Court. We've talked about that a bit on this programme, haven't we? The headline relates to Colleen Rooney describing messages that Rebecca Vardy and her agent exchanged about her as evil.
And here's an image that has been trending online. Dan, I know this is one of your favourites. This is David Beckham sharing a photo of him having his tea at his mum's house. Now, should we just talk everyone through what's on the plate?
Yeah, I think that's a great plate. There's coleslaw on there. There's gammon, pineapple, mushy peas and chips. You'd go everywhere apart from the coleslaw.
I love coleslaw on its own. I also am not a big fan of meat and fruit.
So
ham and pineapple, gammon and pineapple,
This is where we're going to fall out.
What, today of all days?
I love cold and hot pineapple, and I love it with anything.
You love cold and hot pineapple?
Tell me one meal that's not made better by pineapple.
Almost everything.
But gammon
Gammon and pineapple.
Oh, that's a family classic, that one.
Is it?
Oh, I love it.
OK, gammon, pineapple and coleslaw?
Yeah.
Does it not all curdle a little bit?
No, just...
Coleslaw and mushy peas?
Yeah, just why not?
And chips?
Celebration on a plate. I've also seen this. Have you seen this today?
Go on.
It's good.
Go on.
A quarter of us prefer our pets to our partners, apparently.
OK.
Our pets are always there for us. They never grumble, they never judge, and they love a cuddle. In fact, they're so cherished by Britons that nearly a quarter prefer their furry friends to their other half. A nationwide poll has revealed 2 out of 3 say pet is their best friend, while nearly a fifth confess that their animal pal is more important than any person in their life. We both like our dogs.
We love our dogs very much. Should we stop there?
Yes,
yeah.
We
both love our dogs very much. Morning, Winnie. Morning, Sadie, if you're watching.
And morning to our respective partners. Should we talk about the cost of living? Because I mean, I know we're laughing at the moment, but it's been super serious, isn't it, for so many months for so many people. And the Governor of the Bank of England has made a grave warning about rising food prices. Apocalyptic, wasn't it, was the word that was used.
And Nina is here to explain why. Morning, Nina.
Yes, good morning. These were really noticeable words from Andrew Bailey yesterday. Good morning, really quite striking. He was responding to questions around how the bank's handling today's unusual economic pressures. He pointed to food supplies being a major pressure on interest rates and inflation, and his language was really quite stark.
Ukraine is a major supplier of wheat, major supplier of oil, cooking oils. And he said, he was pretty optimistic about planting, interestingly, but he said at the moment, we have no way of shipping it out. As things stand at the moment, it's getting worse. And that is a major worry, and it's not just, I have to tell you, a major worry for this country, it is a major worry for the developing world as well. And so if I had to sorry for being apocalyptic for a moment, but that's a major concern.
Well, the Governor warned that the shock of global food prices could push up unemployment. Now, we get an update on what's going on with jobs in just under an hour's time. And last month, we learned that unemployment had gone down to 3.8%. That translates to about 1.3 million people out of work. The Bank of England has warned another 600,000 people could be added to that as the economy slows down. But for now, unemployment is expected to stay relatively low. But here's something to keep an eye on: the vacancy rate, the number of jobs available. Between January and March, 1.2 million roles needed filling. Now, that is a record high. The biggest jump was in health and social care, but lots of businesses have found it really tough. This is Jim, and he's struggling to recruit mechanics.
We're finding it incredibly difficult to find these people right now. In fact, it's just getting worse and worse since the pandemic. We've been looking for 6 months, probably spent nearly £3,500 in that time advertising. It's a tough world out there. At the end of the day, we've got a big workshop to run here. We've got escalating bills, whether they be electricity, gas, water, etc. But we need staff on the ground. It's the staff on the ground that allow us to complete the work. Without the staff, we can't get the cash flow. Without the cash flow, we can't survive. So yes, there's a huge concern at the moment. Worst case scenario, this is our 25th year of trading, and we've really got to look at whether actually the workshops are going to remain viable if we cannot find staff in the future.
Now, you might think lots of vacancies is a good thing, but what it does is it puts pressure on businesses already dealing with higher costs. It also leads to staff being poached and pressure to put wages up. And at first glance, pay grew between December and February, but not when you take out bonuses and take inflation into account. When you consider those factors, wages actually came down. Plus, look at this. Average total pay growth for the private sector was at 6.2%. For the public sector, it was less than 2%. Now, that means there's a two-track jobs market happening here. Lots of empty jobs means some people can negotiate pay increases, but for many in the public sector, that isn't an option. Some workers, like these in Sussex, feel that industrial action is their only option.
Some people can't afford to buy food and things like that for their kids and that. So it's a real struggle. It's just too low, it's not enough. And like you said, everything's going up. It's going up and up and up. It costs more money to get to work than to work. So that's why we balloted to strike.
I mean, we'll hear people, I'm sure, with the comments have come out saying, sack everybody, anybody could be a bin man. You don't see people queuing up to do this job. Despite what people think, there's nobody rushing to do this job. It's dirty, it's long, it's hard, and it now deserves to have the pay that goes with that sort of.
Well, the Institute of Employment Studies told us that the government now needs to act to match people out of work with the jobs available instead of just putting pressure on the Bank of England to control inflation and interest rates. The government's also pointed, though, to variables beyond their control: energy prices, war and older people leaving the jobs market. We get an update on those numbers at 7 o'clock, and we will be keeping a keen eye on where those jobs gaps are. We'd love to hear from you, as ever. Perhaps you're an employer struggling to recruit, or maybe you've noticed it's impossible to get a taxi or a pub meal locally. There's lots of that happening at the moment. So vacancies were at just above 1 million, and we expect it to go even higher.
So the new figure's at 7?
At 7 o'clock, yeah. See you then.
Nina, thank you.
It's when you rush in with like papers and a massive thing you've just read through, and then we ask you questions about it. And
That's right, and I try and...
It's like all your A-level nightmares come true. Yeah.
I always look forward to that.
One of those anxiety dreams in real life. Yeah.
But you do it so well. Thank you, Nina. See you later on. Shall we get some news, travel and weather wherever you're waking up? It's Tuesday morning.
Let's do it.
We'll see you in a moment. Oh, I haven't got any drink.
Hello, this is Breakfast with Dan Walker and Sally Nugent. You are watching an historic edition of the show, the last ever to be presented by Dan.
I didn't know about this bit.
Did they not tell you?
No.
It's your last day.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. We've got a few surprises to mark the occasion
You're
later.
getting rid of me, right?
Yeah, you're going. Here's what else we have coming up on the programme.
It landed on Mars last year, but now NASA's Perseverance rover is about to start hunting for signs of life. We'll hear about what that could tell us. about the red planets later on. And Joe Wicks kept many of us moving during the dark 8 o'clock this morning.
Now, we are also reflecting this morning on that groundbreaking moment in men's professional football when the Blackpool player Jake Daniels announced that he's gay.
Let's hear what he had to say about that decision and going public.
It's been such a long time of lying, and I've just processed every day of just about how I want to do it, when I want to do it, and I think now is just the right time to do it. You know, I feel like I'm ready to tell people about my story. I want people to know the real me. And lying all the time just isn't what I've wanted to do, and it has been a struggle, but now I just do feel like I'm ready to be myself, be free and just be confident with it all. The day I told my mum and my sister, the day after we played Accrington and I scored 4, so it just shows how much of a weight off the shoulders it was and just a massive relief.
Well, other footballers, of course, have come out of gay after they retired, including Thomas Beattie, who was a youth team player at Hull City and also played professionally in the US and Singapore. And he joins us now from Singapore, live on BBC Breakfast. Really good to talk to you. Thank you so much for spending a bit of time with us on the programme. Can you start by getting your reaction to what you heard from Jake yesterday and also the reaction from others?
Well, obviously, it's been a really groundbreaking moment for not only the LGBTQ community, but just football in general. I think, you know, these type of moments, they've obviously been few and far between. So it's something that, you know, we want to celebrate and get behind him. And so far, he's had an amazing reception and amazing reaction. I'm delighted for him.
I mean, it's a big decision, isn't it, for a 17-year-old to make it in the way that he did?
Yeah, I mean, he's still so young, obviously. So it's, you know, credit to him that he's confident enough to, you know, feel like he can be himself and, you know, step into that role. And he seems like a really confident lad that's got really good people around him. So yeah, fair play to him. He's going to have hopefully a long career and similar to how Josh Cavallo did. You know, they're at the start of their career. They're still very young. So this is you know, it's a really big moment for sport in general, I think.
You talked there, Thomas, about the fact that he's got good people around him. Is it right that you were in touch with his management team before he made this decision? Give us an idea of the sort of thought processes they were going through.
Yeah, so I think actually Matt Morton, who came out the year before last, was pretty integral to the process for him coming out. But we spoke briefly just before he came out to obviously just kind of get him set up with some of the social media restrictions. Obviously, with coming out myself and then, you know, helping facilitate Josh come out, we have a little bit of experience of understanding, you know, some of the language, what comes across, and 90% of it is brilliant, but then you get the 10%, obviously, of people who just feel a little bit indifferent. So we just kind of helped him get set up and put some of these restrictions on his social media platforms.
And that 10% you talk about there, is that the reason why you and many others didn't come out when you were playing?
Well, I think for myself, my journey was a little bit different. Everyone's is really unique to themselves. And I kind of struggled to really embrace myself. I was, you know, I buried mine so deep inside me that I was just married to football for such a long time. It was an escapism for me. Whereas, you know, I think Jake is at a younger age been more comfortable with who he is. And that's credit to himself, obviously, but, you know, possibly his surroundings and the people he's around. There's a few examples for him now to kind of look at, obviously, especially with Josh coming out recently as well, and still actively playing. So I think now we want to see, obviously, you know, a few more people doing the same thing, and hopefully there's that knock-on effect and, you know, a little bit of inspiration for people who are in similar positions.
You talked about sort of filtering things on social media. How's that going to work for Jake himself? Do you know, is he not going to go on social media? Is it a case of the social media companies sort of managing what the reaction is from some people and filtering those comments out? How does that work?
Yeah, so Facebook Meta is pretty good at protecting people who are going to go through this process, and especially because I went through that process. We've got quite a strong connection with them. So for people who are coming out, we can help them put just blocks, restrictions on certain words that may or may not come up from some people. Because like you said, you know, you can't please everyone, and these things usually there's the few and far between. So, you know, we don't have too many examples to know how it's going to be, but we have enough to know the majority of people are super supportive and really get behind it and kind of rally behind them. But at the same time, there is a few people who are feeling differently about it. And so we just make sure that with Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and things, there's some blocks on certain words that may or may not come out.
And Thomas, what sort of impact do you think this might have on other footballers? And you know, he obviously plays in the Championship and maybe some Premier League stars. Yeah, well, hopefully in the years to come or months to come, we see more people coming out. But at least now there's someone who, you know, the younger generation can look at, because he's still only 17, obviously. So, you know, I think that's massively important for people to kind of resonate with that. You know, when you look around as an athlete and you don't see too many people who are like you, it leaves you a little bit confused and a little bit isolated. And so I think now with him being so young that, you know, he's in a position now to really influence a lot of people. Some may be in football, some may not, and some may want to come out and some may not. But at least there is someone they can look at and say, okay, he's just like me and he's doing all right. It was okay for him. So yeah, hopefully there's a knock-on effect. But regardless, he's been, you know, groundbreaking, and we're so delighted for him. Really nice to talk to you, Thomas. Thank you very much. That's Thomas Beattie speaking to us live from Singapore this morning.
Sarah's here listening to all of that. And Sarah, the reaction from the football community has been really impressive, hasn't it?
It's been really nice to see, hasn't it? We've all, I think, been waiting for this moment, haven't we? Particularly in men's football as well. And to see it being reacted to so positively and to have support coming from so many areas will be undoubtedly important to you know, Jack himself, but also to everybody around it, you know, and across social media. I know at times it can be a little bit tough, but let's have a look at some of the reaction that has come in. The England captain, Harry Kane, he says, massive credit to you, Jake, and the way your friends, family, club and captain have supported you. Football should be welcoming for everyone. The comedian Eddie Izzard said, simply, I salute you. And the former England and Manchester United legend Rio Ferdinand tweeted to say, massive respect for this brave decision. Let's all help create a safe and supportive environment for LGBTQ plus people in football and beyond. The Little Britain star Matt Lucas also called it a landmark day in British LGBT history, saying huge respect to Jake and to your club and teammates for supporting you. And most importantly of all, of course, Jake's mum, Jane, tweeted to say she is so, so proud of her son. So that is a nice way to end things. Right, let's get to matters on the pitch, because Champions League football is now out of Arsenal's hands after they were beaten 2-0 at Newcastle. It means that Mikel Arteta's side need to win and hope North London rivals Tottenham lose on the final day of the season. Craig Templeton has this report.
Looking at Newcastle's league position, you would say they have nothing left to play for this season. Looking at St James's Park, you would have to disagree. There's been a party on Tyneside ever since they became one of the richest clubs in the world. Not the welcome Arsenal would have wanted, with Champions League football on the line. If that helped to create nerves for Arsenal's young side, it was showing. Aaron Ramsdale not doing much to calm things down. Though Castle attacked down the left again, they had what their play deserved. Arsenal's things so nearly got even worse when Callum Wilson hit this remarkable effort. The ball broke in the box, it was over. Bruno Guimaraes with a simple finish. Safe to say they enjoyed it. Safe to say he and they did not. Craig Templeton, BBC News.
Well, in terms of the title race, a win at Southampton for Liverpool tonight would see them move to within a point of leaders Manchester City ahead of the last day of the season.
I don't know when City dropped points the last time, 2 games in a row, historically. So I don't expect City to drop points there. But that has no influence on our game for tomorrow. So we know in an ideal world we go in the last match day and are 1 point behind. That would be now from today's point of view, the perfect scenario, and that's what we try to do.
Huddersfield Town are through to the Championship playoff final at Wembley after a 2-1 aggregate semi-final win over Luton Town. The tie was level at 1-1 from the first leg when Jordan Rhodes was able to get on the end of that free kick there late in the game to reach the final. They will meet either Nottingham Forest or Sheffield United on the 29th of May. Now, it was supposed to be a big summer for England bowler Saqib Mahmood, but he has been ruled out for the rest of the season. After making his Test debut against West Indies earlier this year, he would have been likely in the England squad for the first Test against New Zealand next month, but a scan has revealed a stress fracture in his back, so no time frame at the moment has been set for his return. And Tiger Woods says he is feeling a lot stronger for this week's US PGA Championship than he did at the Masters in April. The 15-time major winner played 9 holes at Southern Hills in Oklahoma. Woods is still recovering from that major car crash last year that caused leg and foot injuries. The former world #1 made the cut of the Masters before struggling in the final 2 rounds with those hills at Augusta. So it might be slightly easier for him. Potentially from Thursday onwards, we will see.
Oh, I can't wait for that. Now, there's a lot of things about this programme that I'm going to miss, right? But being able to watch the climax of the golf, wherever that might be,
and then talk about it.
No, and then not have to get up.
Not have to get up at 3 a.m.
Remember, like when Dallin Willett won the Masters, I decided to stay up all night that night, and then that was a bad decision. But this job's getting in the way of my golf viewing.
Exactly. You can get out golfing during the day.
That's one of the advantages.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. You won't miss us that much.
Yeah, that's a good reason. Thank you very much for that, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Now, it has been more than 40 years since the birth of the first IVF baby put Britain, specifically Bristol, at the centre of fertility research throughout the world.
Now, a new team of scientists from the city's university is looking to recruit more than 1,000 couples who are undergoing fertility treatment as part of a major new research project. Matthew Hill has the details.
Pippa and Odie owe their tiny lives to IVF. All a result of ICSI treatment, where their father's sperm was injected into their mother's egg in these labs at the biggest reproductive health centre in the region. As part of the research project, they're volunteering to have health readings, analysis of their medical history and environmental factors to shed light on things that may affect the chances of success with IVF.
Going through IVF is horrendous. You can do everything right, everything the doctor says, and still at the end of the day you can have a negative outcome. Yeah, we lost 2, but actually at the end of losing those 2, that data has still hopefully gone to do some good for people down the road.
Yeah, no, I think it's good for other people to know or learn from our experiences.
Around a third of fertility treatment here is on the NHS, but the rest is private, costing thousands of pounds. That's why it's so important to give customers better information about how likely they are to have a baby. At the moment, they rely on fairly crude measures such as weight and age.
We take some measures before they start their treatment, so blood samples and height and weight and blood pressure. And the idea around this is to look at whether pregnancy is the same for IVF pregnancies compared to non-IVF pregnancies, and then also to look at to follow these people up for several years to look at health outcomes in both the parents and the children conceived via IVF.
Studies have shown that between 1951 and 74, the sperm count has declined by more than half, and ever since it's continued to go down. Now, this study may shed light on why that's happening. One theory is about chemicals from plastics in water, known as phthalates, which may be altering our balance of hormones.
The male partner, unfortunately, is perhaps often ignored in research studies, and so we will be looking at his sperm parameters, his lifestyle, medical history, to see to what extent that's impacting as well.
This is a very long-term project, but it may well give the information to infertile couples that they desperately need. Matthew Hill, BBC News.
Just coming up to 7:15. Shall we show you some sunshine?
Oh, go on then. Apparently, I heard Magic Matt say earlier that it's the hottest day of the year today. So this
is to be.
Look at that. This is central London looking truly glorious today.
Isn't that beautiful? Should we find out if that's actually true?
It's on a slightly wonky angle. Is that on a wonky angle? Or is that
yeah,
on
it's
screen?
wonky. No, I think that's
annoying,
wonky.
Isn't it?
Should we see if we can fix that?
Someone's messed with the horizon.
Someone's messed with the... Although the horizon... I can't look at that for too long.
Adam Fleming's nearby, send him up.
It looks like it's all on a tilt. Anyway, forget about the wonkiness of our picture. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, both. It is going to be the hottest day of the year. So far, we've seen temperatures up to 23 could get to 26 today
hello.
in the southeast corner.
Wow.
Shorts on.
Hot and humid and quite a muggy start this morning. Very good morning too, but it's not just in the southeast. You've got the sunshine. Look at this beautiful shot from northwest Wales a short while ago. Here, though, it will be a day of change. Enjoy the morning sunshine, because across western areas, where we'll continue with sunshine in the east, it is going to turn increasingly wet as we go through the day. Now, if I just show you the satellite imagery from what's been developing over the last few hours, it's this strip of cloud and particularly this bump here, which is running its way northwards. That is what will bring us heavy rain. But as it approaches, we're dragging in the air ahead of it from France and Iberia. And that is what's bringing the warmth, making things humid, and will bring us those high temperatures across eastern areas later. Now, we do have some low cloud around this morning across some parts of northeast Scotland still. Not as sunny a day in Shetland as we had yesterday, for sure, but there's various areas of cloud elsewhere. Won't be blue skies throughout, and if anything, the sunshine that you do have will turn increasingly hazy as the cloud thickens up in the west. Through the afternoon, southwest England, southwest Wales, Northern Ireland turns increasingly wet. Here, temperatures limited to the mid or high teens, even though it still feels humid, but 26 possible towards the southeast corner, 20 degrees across parts of northeast Scotland. Even here, we could see the highest temperature of the year so far. Pollen levels will shoot up in the sunshine, but they will be dampened down in the west later, of course, as that rain moves in. And it will be a thoroughly wet evening rush hour across many of these western areas. Some of that rain could be heavy, thundery, could cause some minor flooding as well. Not as much rain towards the southeast, but even here, there could be a flash of lightning as showers pass through during tonight. Most of it will clear into the morning. There'll still be some outbreaks of rain in north and west Scotland and Northern Ireland, but most of you dry into Wednesday morning. Not quite as humid as last night, but still warm enough at around 10 to 14 degrees to start your Wednesday. Now, to start Wednesday, there'll be some showers pushing northwards across Scotland. Many actually start dry. A few morning mist and fog patches. They will clear. Best the sunshine in the morning. Sunshine turning hazy into the afternoon. Increasing cloud though towards the southwest and to the west of Northern Ireland, where we could finish the day again with some heavy showers and thunderstorms. Temperatures, well, not as humid tomorrow, so not quite as hot, but still 17 to 23 for most of you, above where we should be for this stage in May. Now, through Wednesday night, we'll see some batches of thunderstorms work eastwards across the country. Some of those could be quite severe in the southeast corner, certainly one to watch. But as they clear into Thursday, a quiet day for many. There'll be a few showers to the north and west. Couldn't rule out the odd isolated shower elsewhere, but the emphasis is on dry weather for most on Thursday, feeling pleasant enough in the sunshine, and temperatures will drop a little bit further as we head into the weekend, with still some further showers around. There you go.
Matt, thank you. Getting warmer, we love that, don't we?
Yeah, and when it does get a bit warmer, we like to get out and about, don't we?
We love getting out and about. Go on.
Can I check? Is it Lido or Lido?
Oh, I'll say Lido, you say Lido, then at least one of us will be right.
I think that is one of those when they're both right.
In all the years, we've never quite got it right, have we? We've never decided.
I broadcasted live from a Lido, and I still can't remember. I can't remember what it's called.
I'm going to call it an outdoor swimming pool.
OK. We've all seen the price of heating, haven't we, in our homes go up at an alarming rate. So just imagine what councils are paying to keep swimming pools at the right temperature at the minute. A lot.
Swim England is warning that rising energy bills could force some pools and leisure centres to be shut down. Our correspondent, Jenny Kumar, is at an outdoor pool in Somerset to tell us more. Morning, Jenny.
Morning, welcome. And as you can see, there's a number of swimmers here already getting in their morning swim. And what they're seeing, like many swimmers across the country, is that the price of a swim is going up, but the temperature of the water is going down. And that's to do with rising energy costs. It's something that's affecting small community-run pools such as this one, as well as larger public pools. And I've been looking into this at Bodmin Leisure Centre in Cornwall. Families enjoying the fun of the water. This is Alfred's first time in the pool. His mum feels it's important for him to learn to swim.
That's fantastic.
But as pool operators struggle with rising energy bills, prices are on the up.
It's really difficult to pay more because everything's going up. Petrol's going up to get here. It's going to be harder, and I think we definitely have to cut down on the kind of paid activities that we do.
GLL, the UK's biggest pool operator, runs the council's leisure centres here in Cornwall. They say the average cost of running a pool has gone up by almost £250,000, and that energy costs have gone up by 150% since 2019, meaning an additional £35 million in costs.
These are our gas boilers which heat the pool water.
Swimming fees have already gone up by 5% here in the last year. Prices could go up further to help meet energy bills. Is there anything you can do as an organisation to be more energy efficient?
I mean, projects like this, having new equipment installed is more energy efficient. We have solar panels, we have covers on the pool to keep the heat in. but there is only so much we can do to keep the costs down. It is expensive to run a swimming pool.
Another energy-saving measure they're looking at is turning down the temperature of the pool.
I'm not too keen on the colder pools bit, but I appreciate that there almost certainly will be higher costs to things. It's kind of what's happening everywhere with everything at the minute. It's not ideal, and I think it means that access to things like this becomes much more reduced as well.
The governing body, Swim England, say the health benefits of swimming can be costed at £350 million a year, with 4 out of 10 pool users saying it's their only exercise. But campaigners warn that energy costs could force pool closures.
To see leisure centres close is heartbreaking when they have such a purpose in the local community. The public health benefits are fantastic for all aspects of our community, and I would hate to see more closures. Breaks my heart, if I'm honest. Closing Falmouth swimming pool was one of the worst experiences of my life, being perfectly honest.
This is that pool in Falmouth. It closed last month. GLL say it was too costly to run. It's just one example of the financial and pandemic pressures providers were facing even before the energy hikes.
Oh, it's extremely sad. We've now got this building up here that's shut. We've got hundreds of children that haven't got swimming lessons. Across the country, we need support from the government. We need support to keep the centres open that are already open, find ways again to make them sustainable, or looking at sustainable ways of opening new centres. And this isn't going to be the first or last leisure centre that we see closing down.
A government spokesman says they've given sports centres £1 billion to help them through the pandemic, and that they're in regular contact with different sectors to see how they can best be supported. But leisure providers say they need more support soon to keep services afloat.
Well, welcome back to Withy Pool here in Somerset, and I've had a feel of the water. It still feels quite warm, even though they've turned the temperature down to around 25 degrees. Now let me just show you the boilers that are heating the water. They look like pretty ordinary domestic boilers, but the cost of heating the pool has almost tripled in the past 3 months. Now that is having a major impact on a small community pool, and we can talk to a trustee here, David Holmes. David, just how serious is this for the future of the pool?
Big problem. So we've noticed our gas bills. Last year, I think it was about £7,000 we were paying to heat the pool for the entire year. And we've noticed that just in April, which is a cold month, of course, we've spent around about £4,000 in gas just in that month.
But you have been looking at renewable energy. You have installed some renewable energy here.
Yes, we have. Last year we invested quite a lot of money in new plants, and also we had a grant to install a 10 kilowatt solar panel array at the back. Now that provides electricity which helps run the plant, but it doesn't provide any electricity to actually heat the pool. So we're kind of torn between how we move forward on that.
Now, Swim England, other big leisure operators, they've been calling on the government to step in and support. What would you like to see happen?
I think the way that we have to make the pool sustainable, both economically and I guess from a carbon footprint point of view, is that we need to replace the gas boilers. So the gas boilers need to be taken out, and probably we need to put in air source heat pumps. Now that's going to be a big cost. I don't think anyone's done the maths on that yet, but we would look for a government grant to be able to do that in order to move. And of course there's lots of win-wins for that.
Well, thank you, David Holmes, trustee of Withy Pool here. Thank you for joining us this morning. So that's the picture here in Somerset, and pools across the country, like many households, are trying to figure out just how they are going to deal with rising energy costs.
Jenny, thanks very much indeed. Serious subject, I know, but does it look so gorgeous there? You just want to jump in.
It's one of those nice May mornings, isn't it? It is May, isn't it? Yeah,
yes, May. It's definitely still May, and as Matt was telling us just a little while ago, it's going to be the warmest day of the year so far for some people today.
Also today, if you like space, let's be honest, who doesn't?
You love space, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
What is it you said?
Louise was scared of space. Yeah, she used to be. I think I offered her a trip. Not that I was going to take her, but I offered her the opportunity to go to space one day. And
That's
she said,
not
no,
what you.
thanks.
That's not what you offered someone you like.
No,
Would you like to go
I'd
to
get to
space?
I did like it. If you like space, it's a very weird thing to say. Stick around because we've got some extraordinary pictures to show you in around 20 minutes' time. They're actually from Mars.
That's from Mars, isn't it? That's from. Do you remember NASA's Perseverance rover? We've been talking about it, haven't we, for the last few months? It landed on the red planet 15 months ago.
It's about to enter the next phase of its mission, apparently. Looking for signs of life. We're going to speak to astrophysicist Dr. Becky Smethurst at 7:20 this morning. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
We've also got Sam Ryder coming up.
We have.
Spaceman.
Spaceman, who you introduced me to Sam Ryder's music.
Yeah.
His voice is amazing.
It was actually there was a piece about Sam Ryder on this show, wasn't there, in the build-up to Eurovision, and you didn't know much about it.
No.
And I played him some of
Here on the sofa.
his TikToks, yes.
He's amazing. I should let you all know, don't tell Dan, we have a few surprises lined up for him on his final day. We mentioned it to you last day on the programme. So do stick around if you can and watch maybe about the last half hour of the show. It's
Half
going
an hour
to
too much, surely.
It's going
Just
to
5
be
minutes
good.
is
It's
fine.
not all about you. But the last half hour will be good fun. That's all I'm going to say.
OK, I genuinely know nothing, so
I know.
Let's see what happens. Time now for the news, the travel and the weather. Thanks for being with us on this Tuesday morning. We'll see you in a moment.
blue, my blood is living. Listen. Coming to my time, come see me. I'm yours.
Colour, the beauty, the joy of life.
I'm listening.
The secret of life is in art. Art is an improvement on life.
And to live is the rarest thing in the world. I'm beginning to enjoy your company.
Passionate performances every Sunday night. Watch on BBC4 and iPlayer.
I know.
Good morning, welcome to Breakfast with Sally Nugent and Dan Walker.
Our headlines for you today. Blackpool's Jake Daniels becomes the first current male professional footballer in more than 30 years to come out as gay.
Now I just do feel like I'm ready to be myself, be free and just be confident with it all.
Hundreds of Ukrainian fighters are evacuated from the steelworks in Mariupol, having been trapped there for more than 2 months.
Good morning. Warnings of another big rise in food prices. The Governor of the Bank of England uses the word apocalyptic. What does that mean for wages? Already lagging behind prices. The latest numbers have just been released.
Good morning in sport. Arsenal's Champions League qualification hopes are in tatters. They were beaten 2-0 at Newcastle, with Tottenham now in pole position to clinch 4th spot.
And a pretty humid day to come, with some eastern areas under hazy sunshine seeing some of the highest temperatures of the year. But if you're in the west today, early sunshine will give way to cloud and eventually some outbreaks of rain. I'll have all the details with the forecast here on Breakfast.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, the 17th of May. Leading figures in sport, politics and entertainment have praised the Blackpool striker Jake Daniels after he announced he's gay.
It's the first time in more than 30 years that a male footballer has come out while still playing for a professional club in the UK. The 17-year-old said it's a relief to be honest about his sexuality. Our correspondent Lauren Moss has this report.
He's one of the Championship's emerging young stars, and usually Jake Daniels' football does the talking. He scored 30 goals for Blackpool's youth side this season. But now, at the age of 17, he says he doesn't want to hide who he is off the pitch anymore, and has become the first UK footballer in the men's side to come out as gay in 30 years.
It's been such a long time of lying, and I've just processed every day of just about how I want to do it, when I want to do it. And I think now is just the right time to do it. You know, I feel like I'm ready to tell people about my story. I want people to know the real me, and lying all the time just isn't what I've wanted to do, and it has been a struggle, but now I just do feel like I'm ready to be myself.
Justin Fashanu was the first and, until now, the only professional player to reveal he was gay while still in the game in 1990. He took his own life 8 years later. Daniels is just one of 2 openly gay footballers in the world, after Australia's Josh Cavallo made his own announcement last October.
I'm a footballer and I'm gay.
Others spoke out after hanging up their boots.
You go from being scared to excited to being worried to being, apprehensive, but all of that combined, it's a really special moment, and it saves lives. The bottom line of it is somebody somewhere thinks they're better off dead than for the world to know who they are. So, first and foremost, it adds a layer of confidence and inspiration and hope for people who are, living in silence.
Daniels' announcement has also been welcomed by colours across the political and sporting spectrum. Prime Minister Boris Johnson tweeted to thank him for his bravery, saying it would have taken huge courage. Former Man United and England star Rio Ferdinand said the decision deserved massive respect and called for a safe and supportive environment, a sentiment echoed by the Premier League, which tweeted, "Football is for everyone."
He's going down a path that many, many others will follow. They've probably just been waiting to see how it pans out for whoever's first. And I think once they see that the overwhelming majority of people will be more than accepting, others will follow suit.
Jake Daniels only made his Championship debut earlier this month. He says he's taken another step into the unknown, but keeping his sexuality secret affected his mental health. Being open is already having results on the pitch.
The day I told my mum and my sister, the day after I scored 4, so it just shows how much of a weight off the shoulders it was, and just a massive relief.
He hopes his truth will be the inspiration for others.
Well, Lauren Moss is outside Blackpool Stadium, Bloomfield Road. Now, Lauren, morning to you. A really positive response from players and sporting bodies. Will the fans follow that lead?
That's right, Sally. A very warm response to Jake Daniels' announcement on the front and the back pages this morning. And that reaction from the fans, I think, is what people will be watching and waiting to see. You know, there was lots of support on social media last night. And as we know, though, homophobia has been a big problem in sport, in the men's game particularly, for many years. You know, a lot of people will wonder, why does this matter? Why does this 17-year-old young footballer announcing his sexuality make a difference in 2022? Well, it matters because he is the first player playing professionally in the Championship to do so in the UK in 30 years. And he said, Jake Daniels said he thought long and hard about making this announcement. He thought about not coming out until he'd retired, but he didn't want to live a lie. It was affecting his mental health, and he wanted to live his truth and be a role model to others. But we know that, you know, sports clubs and charities throughout the years have been really campaigning to stamp out homophobia. You know, so many of the chants and the shouts coming from the stands and mentioned on the pitch that are often put down to banter, meaning that this is, you know, such a big step for someone to now finally make this announcement. You know, football has also been lagging behind other sports. You know, the women's game, for example, in the 2019 World Cup, I think it was about 40 women were openly gay, lesbian or bisexual. So it really is a big step for the men's game for this to happen. And as for Blackpool Football Club, well, they say that they are incredibly proud of Jake Daniels, and they say that they want the sport to lead the way in tackling discrimination and prejudice. We'll all be watching and waiting to see if that can happen. And as for Jake Daniels, he says he hopes he can be a role model to others.
Lauren, thanks very much indeed. That's Lauren Moss reporting live for us this morning. Thank you.
In other news this morning, hundreds of Ukrainian fighters have been evacuated from a steelworks in Mariupol, where they have been holding out against a fierce Russian attack for more than 2 months. The 264 troops rescued from the Azovstal steel plant are being taken to 2 Russian-held parts of Ukraine, while efforts to rescue the remaining trapped fighters there continue. President Zelensky said Ukraine needs its heroes alive.
We hope to save the lives of our boys. Among them are the heavily wounded. They are being treated. I want to underline, Ukraine needs its Ukrainian heroes alive. This is our principle. I think these words can be understood by all adequate people. We keep working to get our boys back home. This work needs to be delicate and needs time.
Well, meanwhile, in the eastern city of Izium, known as the gateway to the Donbass, volunteer troops are defending every inch of ground and trying to help civilians stuck in the crossfire there.
Our correspondent Quentin Somerville spent some time with them and sent this report.
War descended suddenly upon Ukraine. Along the Eastern Front, its men may be in bunkers, but they do not cower here. Above, a Russian barrage is the signal. It's time to get to work. Outside these walls, everything is in the line of fire. And these men face it daily. They need little reminder that to the north, the majority of Russia's forces are headquartered. And to the south, most of their Ukrainian comrades. Their patrols and defence along this front line keep these two mighty forces apart. The soldier calls out, "Leave this place as soon as possible." And it's here we find Natasha, stubbornly hanging on. "Do you need help leaving?" Yuri asks her.
"I don't have anyone here."
But she's defiant. This war wasn't her choice. It's as if she refuses to acknowledge it, even as Russian shells soar overhead.
Let's go to her house. She invited us. Well, we can't go forward, can we? Very close to us. Very close to us, on our way.
Yuri tries to convince her to come with us. To stay risks death.
I don't want to betray my husband. He's buried in the cemetery here. I won't leave him.
We have to leave, but Natasha's told to pack her bags. They'll come back for her when the shelling stops. Despite the onslaught, the men pushed forward. This is what stalemate sounds like on the Eastern Front. And this is what it takes to keep the gateway to the Donbass firmly shut. Quentin Somerville, BBC News, near Izum, Ukraine.
Now, the Foreign Secretary, Liz Truss, is expected to make a statement to Parliament today, paving the way for making changes to the post-Brexit trading arrangements for Northern Ireland, known as the Protocol. We're joined now by our correspondent, Charlotte Gallagher at Stormont. Charlotte, good morning to you. Give us an idea, if you can, at how the news is going down.
Well, it really depends who you talk to here in Northern Ireland, Dan. Sinn Féin, pretty fed up. They're now the largest party here at Stormont. They met Boris Johnson yesterday, like all the leading parties here, and they say they received no straight answers, essentially. And there's a photo of Mary Lou McDonald, the Sinn Féin president, giving him what I could only say is a very stern look. They say that the UK government is essentially colluding with the DUP over this protocol and pandering to the DUP. The DUP, on the other hand, they want changes made to the protocol, so they're welcoming that and they're welcoming this announcement today. But they're suggesting that they're not going to return to work here at Stormont until decisive action is taken. They're not happy with taking promises and taking things on trust. And I guess you can understand that, given that they were told, after all, that there wouldn't be an Irish sea border, and now we have one, and that's exactly why we're in this situation. Other parties really frustrated with the situation as well. In fact, Alliance, one of the third largest party here at Stormont, they've suggested cutting the pay of members who won't return to work. Meanwhile, the EU, they're saying they're up for negotiations about the protocol with the UK, but have accused Britain of essentially not having meaningful negotiations since February. So it's still a very tense and unsettled situation here in Northern Ireland.
OK, Charlotte, thank you very much for that. Very windy there at Stormont. Apologies for
sound problems.
Yeah, a bit of wind in the willows there. I think we got there at the end, didn't we?
That's a technical term, everybody.
Yes, 12 minutes past 7 now. If you were watching earlier on, we're talking about Nina coming in with some breaking news for us, because the Governor of the Bank of England has warned of another set of big increases in food prices. What have we got this morning? Inflation figures?
Yeah, no, in the last few moments we got the latest numbers on the job market.
That's
so
right,
this tells us where unemployment is at, where people are working, where are their job vacancies, and also how our wages are behaving. So between January and March, unemployment was at 3.7%, so it's settling around that number, has been there for around the last 6 months or so. Vacancies, so the number of jobs to be filled, is also hovering at around 1.3 million jobs. But this is really interesting. For the first time since records began, there were fewer unemployed people than job vacancies. So there are more jobs available than people actively looking for jobs. That is a first in recorded history. And remember, this is all in the context of inflation being at 7%. The predictions are that it will hit 10% not too long from now. And this is impacting our pay. So overall, when you consider inflation, we are 1.2% less better off than we were a year ago in terms of how our pay is behaving. But listen to this variation depending on where you work. So if you work in the private sector, your pay has gone up by about 8.2%, so higher than inflation. If you work in the public sector, your pay has gone up by 1.6%. So taking in inflation, you're actually losing money every month. Your pot is getting
difference,
smaller.
that, isn't it?
It is. So there's this two-track system between the public and private sector, specifically construction it points to, finance, and they're areas where people might get big bonuses which push their average wages up. And it's really important to note the unpredictability of where we are now. Nobody really knows where we're going to go next. And yesterday there was really striking words from the Governor of the Bank of England, Andrew Bailey. He doesn't often use dramatic language like this, but what he said was, because of the war in Ukraine and the pressure on food prices, it is a real worry. And he apologised, in his words, for sounding apocalyptic, saying that will continue to put pressure on inflation, which will go higher, and then they're going to have to make a big decision on interest rates.
Nina, thank you.
And if you're still waiting for the £150 energy bill rebate, something we've also spoken about with Nina a lot in recent times, which was offered by the government to help cushion rising prices, it might be because you are, I suppose the way you pay your bills is the best way of saying,
exactly.
isn't it?
Yeah, the BBC has found that councils in England and Wales have prioritised payments to direct debit customers who are often better off than those who pay via other methods.
The campaign group National Energy Action says that means help is not necessarily getting to those who need it most. Our Consumer Affairs correspondent Coletta Smith has the story.
£150 of free money is a nice thought. But those who don't pay their council tax by direct debit are having to wait longer than everyone else to get it.
Just because you pay direct debit, what gives them the priority? We're all still paying it. We should all be treated equal.
Like lots of people at this community coffee morning, Chris pays his council tax in weekly instalments and hasn't heard how he can get his energy rebate yet.
I've lost out on things before because I don't do online.
Many people, they don't have the computer skill, to do that, go on the computer and apply, do all those, information they need to send it them. Many just struggle with that.
Would you be worried if a letter arrived just from the council?
I'll be paranoid and I'll be all stressed where I start bursting out crying and everything. I'll go to my neighbour and tears because of it. So it's really hard with people with learning needs.
Most councils say they've now started making the one-off payments to households who they already have direct debit details for, and then they'll work out how to pay everybody else. This is a big government promise, but the money is being dished out through local councils, and that's why it's taking so long. Each council has had to work out a new process for how to actually get the money to us.
I don't blame local authorities. This was something that was foisted upon them without any warning. The people I feel most sorry for are those who desperately need the money and are going to have to jump through hoops and around rings in order to access what government told them was £150 easy money.
Here in Rochdale, more than a third of households don't pay by direct debit.
We recognise that most of those people were probably the ones who are most in need, the most vulnerable members of the community.
Do you think the government realised what a complicated process this would be?
Probably not, no. I think, governments very often sat in London, don't always necessarily know what's taking place. It creates a logistical issue for us, which we will work through, but give me another alternative as to how we can manage it.
A cash payment that was supposed to help everyone with their energy bills hasn't yet reached those who are most in need.
Well, Coletta is here with us now. It just does not seem to make sense, does it?
Yeah, this is a really huge, big government flagship policy that was supposed to help with the cost of living. And of course, the energy price rise kicked in on the 1st of April. So the hope had been that people would have this in their bank accounts pretty quickly. In Scotland, they're working the situation a little bit differently. They're taking the money off your council tax. But in England and Wales, the money's been given to councils to get to us, to get back to us into our bank accounts. And that's been a more difficult process than a lot of people realised. So there's more than 300 local authorities. They've all had to scratch their heads and work out a way to get the money to us. Software's had to be put in place, even for direct debit customers, to reverse a normal process. Obviously, we pay them normally, instead they're paying us. The majority of those councils now have started making those payments. So by the end of May, most people who pay by direct debit will have a nice little lump sum landing in the banks if you are in council tax brackets A to D. But if you don't pay by direct debit, that process will take a lot longer because most councils are only now beginning to contact those individuals. And as we were hearing there, they're often the most vulnerable people.
It just seems a bit daft, doesn't it? That the people that you really need to help are the ones who aren't getting that help. So and what sort of issues are there for people on low incomes at the moment who are going to be in real trouble with this?
Well, the majority of councils are beginning a process where they have to apply online, where people have to sign up to a portal, put in their bank details. Some councils, a handful, are sending out post office vouchers that those people can cash, but most are making them apply online, and for a lot of people that will be a difficult process. The government say that the fastest way to get this money is through direct debit, but they say that councils do have a range of other options available to them, and they say that they fully expect expect councils to make those payments, they say, without further delay. So they're hoping that councils crack on with this, but it is a tricky process. Even people who are exempt from council tax and some students will be able to apply for this money. So finding those individuals is difficult for councils, and it may be that it's a good few months before that money hits their accounts, and the worry is that some people will miss out on this altogether, people that need it most.
OK, Coletta, thank you very much for that.
It is 7:20. We have a treat today because Matt is with us in the studio.
Hottest
Morning,
day of the
Matt.
year.
And the hottest day of the year.
Oh,
morning, folks.
That picture's a bit
maybe
grim,
not there.
Yeah, it does look a bit grim, doesn't it? But contrasting photos for you to get the the morning underway. Very morning. Good morning to you. There's misty, foggy conditions at the moment in parts of north and east Scotland. Some of you will brighten up through the day. But look at this for a start today in Staffordshire. Blue skies overhead. It is set to be, for some of you, the warmest day of the year so far. But it won't be everywhere. Out in the west today, we're going to see cloud increase across parts of eastern Northern Ireland around the Irish Sea. Outbreaks of rain developing here, which become heavy, potentially thundery by the end of the afternoon. Low cloud mistiness will linger across Shetland, where we had the best of yesterday's sunshine. But through much of eastern Scotland, good part of England, eastern Wales, cloud amounts will increase. Sunshine will turn hazy, but it will be a fine day. Southerly winds with us, which is bringing that warmth and humidity you're feeling out there this morning. 20 degrees on the Murray coast, 26 potentially towards the southeast of England. The high teens in the west, that will be because that rain will be setting in. Could be a little bit earlier than this to take us through late afternoon into the evening. Some heavy bursts of rain across the southwest, increasingly so through Wales, edging into northwest England, throwing it down in the Isle of Man and eastern parts of Northern Ireland, as well as western parts of Scotland too. That rain, heavy, thundery at times, will push its way eastwards as we go through tonight, and tonight not quite as humid either. That's how it's looking. Back to you both.
Matt, thanks very much.
Cast your mind back to February last year, and you may remember the excitement when NASA successfully landed its Perseverance rover on Mars. Here we are this morning on the red planet.
I do. I do remember.
Flash red so far.
Yes. It's been a busy 15 months or so, doing plenty of roving. Now it's ready for the most important part of its mission, searching for, guess what? Signs of life.
Ooh, I feel like we need some music.
We do.
Our science editor, Rebecca Morell, has the details.
The parachute has deployed and we are seeing significant deceleration.
It's a mission that began with a jaw-dropping descent, beaming back real footage of a Mars landing as NASA's Perseverance rover was lowered onto the Martian surface. Over the last year, it's revealed the planet as never seen before, taking some selfies along the way. It's been busy trundling across the dusty terrain. And it's made history by flying a helicopter, the first powered flight on another planet. Now Perseverance is ready to begin the most important part of its mission, hunting for signs of life. And it's reached an area where it has the best chance of finding it.
I have been staring at this delta for years now, mostly in orbiter images. And now we're finally right in front of it, seeing it through the eyes of the rover. We know there was once liquid water on the surface of Mars. We know there are organics on the surface of Mars. And so all signs point to the surface of Mars 3.5 to 4 billion years ago being a habitable planet.
The rover's exploring an area called the Jezero Crater. Billions of years ago, it was a huge lake. You can clearly see a river running into it. And this gives you an idea of what it once would have looked like. If we zoom in, this coloured area shows where the river met the lake, depositing sediment to create a delta. The rover landed here in the floor of the crater. It spent more than a year travelling the 7 miles, that's about 11 kilometres, to get to the base of the delta. Now it has a 40-metre climb to reach the top. So it's deployed the mini Mars helicopter to scout the best path ahead. Perseverance is the most advanced rover ever deployed. It will survey the delta to select the most promising rocks. An onboard drill will collect samples so scientists can analyse what's inside.
What we're looking for are little bits of ancient microbial communities that might have fallen down to the bottom of the lake, that were living somewhere in the water column, and then they fell down to the bottom. They may have been microbes living in the watershed that got washed in by the rivers and concentrated in the bottom of the lake.
The scientists hope the rover's high-tech instruments will find clear signatures of life. But the best samples will be left on the Martian surface and collected by a future mission that will bring the rocks back to Earth.
imagine if we found evidence that there was some sort of microscopic life there. That's huge. It's, mind-blowing in a way. And so I think the opportunity to look for that and bring it back to Earth and then see what we see is going to rewrite history books regardless of the answer.
The mission is revealing the eerie beauty of Mars, even showing us a Martian solar eclipse and capturing sounds of the rover hard at work. The red planet is dry and dusty today, but exploring the delta over the next 6 months will give us a new window into its past and could finally answer the question of whether life ever existed on Mars. Rebecca Morrell, BBC News.
Ooh. That's interesting, isn't it?
It's exciting stuff, isn't it?
We are joined now by one of our regular space experts, the astrophysicist Dr. Becky Smethurst from the University of Oxford. I think we spoke to you at the time that this was all kicking off, and now we're getting to the next stage of the project. I imagine you and many other people are very excited about this.
Yeah, massively so. I mean, the descent was nervy enough, but now we're actually getting images back from the rover, the likes of which we haven't really seen before. This river delta is a newly explored kind of area. We've only ever seen, very dry, dusty craters before, like where it first landed. So the fact that it's getting here, the rocks look really different here as well. We've even seen huge boulders planted at the edge of this delta as well that we presume got there from this old river running down into the crater as well, which would be so exciting. It would confirm our ideas of this hypothesis that Mars used to be habitable, perhaps. It used to have the conditions right for life and right for water. It had a much thicker atmosphere billions of years ago before the sun bombarded it with radiation and it stripped it away. And so the idea that we could maybe find these biosignatures, these markers that life existed, and I'm talking about, maybe fossilized bacteria here rather than sort of like, I don't know, the foundations of the houses of little green men from billions of years ago. That's not what we're looking for, right? We're looking for these biosignatures, and we're so excited that we could find in these fossilized life. And imagine if we find current, bacteria on Mars as well. The possibilities are endless.
And Becky, you mentioned what you think conditions might have been like many, many years ago. What are conditions like there now?
I mean, they're pretty harsh, right? It's rugged terrain. I don't know if you've ever driven one of those tiny little remote controlled cars on really rugged terrain and watched it flip over. The team have to be really careful not to drive it somewhere where it's too steep or there's a boulder that could tip it. And that's what Ingenuity, this little Ginny, as people have nicknamed it, has been flying around on the surface trying to map out a course. But the other thing is as well, it's not like a remote control car. You can't just say, oh, go forward a bit and watch it happen, because the light travel time to Mars and back is like half an hour or so. So you have to send the instructions for it to do something for a really long time and then just wait and see what happens. So it's really, really nerve-wracking.
In terms of what the main motivations of this project are, what would be a great result to learn and sort of 5 years, 10 years down the line?
I think it would be finding, fossilized signatures of life, these sort of like bacteria colonies in the rock samples that Perseverance is collecting. And the difficult thing is there's only 43 slots for rock samples and already about 8 or 9 of them are filled. So the team have to be really careful when they get to somewhere exciting to not just be like, grab a rock sample and then not have a space left later on when they find somewhere that also looks promising as well. So they're having to rein themselves in a little bit. And there's going to be a European Space Agency mission that goes and collects those rock samples from the surface and brings them back to Earth in a couple of years. And I think then is when we're going to really find out whether there really was life on Mars.
And Becky, how important is it that we do find out more?
I think it's incredibly important because it teaches us a lot about how life came to be in the solar system. Was Earth unique or not? There's one idea that maybe comets, asteroids impacting with the planets very early on brought things like water and amino acids and proteins, the ingredients for life, to the various different planets. So if it brought it to Earth, what's to say it didn't bring it to Mars as well? And so it's sort of by answering questions about, well, if there was life on Mars, how did it get there? Does it look similar to Earth? Does it look completely different? It'll help us trace our own origin stories back as well.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
Thank you very much for being with us this morning.
You're very welcome.
It's been lovely to talk to you, and I look forward to watching the next development on this programme.
Yes, you're going to watch it.
I was just thinking
that
that I'm not going to get to speak to.
I know. I'd sense a little bit of
again.
hesitation there. Thank you, Becky. It's lovely to talk to you, and thank you for helping us through all of that story over the last few months.
It's a great one to keep an eye on, isn't it? It's the news, travel, and the weather. Wherever you're watching this morning, we will see you with the headlines in a couple of minutes' time. Hello, good morning. Watching Breakfast with Sally Nugent and Dan Walker.
It is 7:33. The Foreign Secretary Liz Truss is expected to make a statement to Parliament today, paving the way for making changes to the post-Brexit trading arrangements for Northern Ireland. Brandon Lewis is the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, and he joins us now from Westminster. Morning to you, Mr. Lewis. What can we expect from this statement when we hear it later today?
Good morning. Yes, that the Foreign Secretary will outline later today. Cabinet will be meeting in a couple of hours to make final decisions about what our next steps are. And as you say, the Foreign Secretary will set that out later today. And what we've been looking at is where we are with the EU, how the protocol is impacting the people of Northern Ireland across the whole of Northern Ireland, and indeed wider across the UK, because it is having an impact on businesses on mainland Great Britain, as well as people and communities and businesses in Northern Ireland, and what we can do to make sure we alleviate some of the problems that we are seeing, let alone the problems that are likely to arise with the plans that the EU have for further implementation measures.
So does that mean no legislation?
Well, we've always said we take nothing off the table. If we do need to legislate, we will not shy away from doing that. As I say, the Foreign Secretary will outline the decisions that we make on that later today. One of the challenges we've got to deal with is the fact that at the moment we've got over 200 businesses in Great Britain not supplying Northern Ireland, people unable to access goods and products in Northern Ireland the way that they should be able to do as citizens of the UK. And it's one of the things when the Prime Minister was in Northern Ireland with me yesterday and met the political party leaders, all of them, I have to say, of all parties, were of the common view that there are issues with the protocol that need to be resolved. And we're very cognizant of that. We would like to do that by agreement with the EU. But if we can't do that, we've always said we will take the action we need to take to fix those parts of the protocol that are just not working and not delivering what the protocol set out to do, which was to not disrupt the everyday lives of people in their communities, respect the Good Friday Agreement in all of its strands, as well as the UK internal market. And of course, yes, we will continue to protect the EU single market as well.
So are we any further on from a week ago?
Well, as we set out a week ago, the same point still applies, that we will do what we need to do to make sure that we're fixing these problems with the protocol. As I say, we want to do that with the EU, but the Foreign Secretary will set out our next steps later on today. And I'm not going to prejudge what will be in that statement later today. Cabinet will meet in just the next couple of hours, and then the Foreign Secretary will set that out to the House of Commons this afternoon.
So is that a no?
Well, we'll wait to see what the Foreign Secretary says this afternoon. I think it's quite right the Foreign Secretary sets that out to Parliament first. That's the right process after Cabinet has made decisions this morning. As I say, that will be in the next couple of hours. So,
as far as you are concerned, what do you feel the solution might be? Where are the border checks?
Well, yes, no, absolutely. It's a very fair question. I think that the solution is, and what we've been outlining to the EU, is that products that are moving from Great Britain to Northern Ireland should effectively go through what has colloquially been called a green lane. So those products that are being consumed in the UK, used in the UK, from Great Britain to Northern Ireland, should not be going through the same checks as products that are moving into the EU, into the single market. They should effectively be red lane. That's pretty much what we've been outlining. There's too many companies, including major supermarkets at the moment, who have no stores in the Republic of Ireland, who are moving their products from their depots in Great Britain into Northern Ireland for sale and consumption in Northern Ireland, but going through checks as if they were going into the EU. That just doesn't work. And there are products that can't travel that way. What the EU is proposing is even pets will struggle and will cost a substantial amount of money for people to take their pets to a different part of the UK. And what sometimes gets missed in this is what the EU is proposing now is that some of the checks we've had grace periods for, we're at a standstill at the moment where we're not fully applying some of the checks the EU want. They actually want to bring those in. So they want to make matters materially worse for the people of Northern Ireland, and that's just not viable. So that's what we want to deal with, and we think there is a way of doing that, as I say, effectively providing that green lane for products that are staying within the UK internal market.
Looking back now, do you think that perhaps the government was a little bit naive when negotiating this protocol at the start? Because Boris Johnson is saying it is a classic bit of Brussels negotiation going on right now, but also that he didn't imagine it would ever be interpreted in this way. That is surely naive.
Well, if you look back to the beginning of the introduction of the protocol, we had grace periods. There were areas of the protocol, the implementation, which was yet to be worked out. That's why they agreed those grace periods at the beginning. We've extended those grace periods in what we effectively call the grace period standstill, because we've not been able to resolve them with the EU. And the EU's desire to see checks within the UK internal market, I have to say, and what I think we've all been surprised by, is their lack of flexibility over the intention of the protocol. As I say, the protocol is very clear about protecting state functions. Well, supply medicines is a pretty clear one of those. Not disrupting everyday lives of communities, protecting all aspects of the Good Friday Agreement, all three strands, the UK internal market, all of these things, because of the implementation the EU want to see, have been either put under pressure or broken. The one thing that we have continued to deliver on is protection of the EU single market, which we will always do. We respect that position for them, but we also need to resolve those other four key areas that the protocol was intended to deliver on. And the EU's desire and the way they want to implement things simply isn't allowing those intentions in the protocol to be delivered on properly for the people of Northern Ireland.
I want to talk to you a little bit now about what the Governor of the Bank of England said yesterday. I know you will have heard this quote from him. He's talking about price rises being apocalyptic at the moment. Do you agree with him?
Well, look, the Bank of England are an independent organisation. I was surprised to see that particular turn of phrase, I have to say, but obviously the Bank of England are independent. They will have their view of their assessment, of their economic view of where things are and where things are going. Look, we do recognise, and I, as a constituency MP, see the challenges that some of my constituents face, that we all face when we're, in my part of the world, we're all on oil-fired heating, majority of people, and you see that change in the price has a big impact on people, and that's why I think it is important as a government we put in the package of support that we've put in, and as the Chancellor said, this is something we will keep under review because of the global pressures, as the Bank of England Governor did say yesterday, these global pressures we're seeing on economies around the world.
Even Sir John Major, former Tory Prime Minister, is saying that there should be more help at the moment for people who are struggling. He said, didn't he, that people need to feel that the state cares about them and not just the interests of the powerful. That's someone who's been a Tory Prime Minister. What do you say to that?
Well, we do care, and that's one of the things that I know the Chancellor and the Prime Minister are very focused on. Well, one of the things, look, we've put in place a £22 billion package of support. Some of that will be coming through in July, some has already come through, to put more money in people's pockets. There's also the medium and the long term we have to look at, and the Chancellor has to balance the decisions around what this government can afford to do, whilst also doing everything we can to support people, as we have done through COVID. I think the Chancellor and the PM have got a very good track record of doing everything we can where we can to support people. We are facing a real global challenge, both the challenges for food prices, particularly affected by what we're seeing with this war in Ukraine and Ukraine's supply through the global sector of food, but also pressure on energy prices around the world. And we're seeing inflation globally around the world creating pressures. We're a bit below some of our competitor countries, but we're still high, but in line with those kind of figures we're seeing. These are real challenges. We recognise that, and that's why the Chancellor, even just this week, has said this is something he will keep under review, and we will continue to look to do everything we can to help people through these challenging periods.
Just finally, let's just tell you what we know. So that, what we know as a fact, for the first time since records began, there are fewer unemployed people than there are job vacancies. Now that isn't actually great, is it? Because there aren't the people to do the jobs. Also, private sector pay is up 8.2%, public sector pay 1.6%. That is way, way, way below inflation. People are really going to struggle.
And this is why the Chancellor keeps these things under review, and it's why we put in place this £22 billion package to ensure we're doing everything we can to get more money into people's pockets. Look, it is good to see that we've now got employment at a higher rate than even pre-COVID, but that does, as you say, quite right, it does create challenges in itself where we want to make sure we're getting that supply and to continue to build a high productivity economy, a higher paid economy. In the public sector, that does create challenges. Public sector is large, and it is something that that does have an impact, and trying to keep that balance around how we spend taxpayers' money, as well as trying to get more money into taxpayers' pockets across the country, whether they work in the private or the public sector.
But there are fewer people in work than before COVID.
Well, unemployment actually is below where it was before COVID. And employment figures have got back, as I'd say, back to where they were pre-COVID. As we're seeing more jobs created in the economy with that fast-growing economy that we have seen over the last year or so. We want to continue to see jobs being created, and we want to continue to see the ability for people to take advantage of those jobs that are out there. As I say, recognising these challenges that are there, and that's why both the Prime Minister and the Chancellor are always keeping these things under review, as we did all through the COVID pandemic, where we put in such a large package of support, and getting the balance and taking a view about that medium and long-term impact as well, around the balance of how we spend taxpayers' money and how much taxpayers' money is spent by the government, as well as getting money into people's pockets.
Brandon Lewis, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Just to say, national insurance went up in April by 1.25 pence in the pound. Also, the threshold at which workers start to pay national insurance has been frozen, which is effectively a tax rise.
It's 7:42, it's Tuesday morning, and Sarah's here talking about, can we call it it's a proper wobble from Arsenal, isn't it? At just the wrong time.
Limping towards the end of the season, aren't they? We know the Premier League is going to finish this week. Arsenal, they were hoping for top four to secure Champions League football, but the last week or so hasn't been good for them. In fact, actually, last night after the loss, Granit Xhaka said, to his players, if you're nervous, go home. You're not putting the performances in, so he was quite critical, so you can feel the tension there.
Well played Newcastle as well.
Well, absolutely.
Atmosphere looked amazing. amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And Mikel Arteta was keen to congratulate Newcastle on that, but Champions League football is all but out of Arsenal's hands. A 2-0 defeat for them at Newcastle, so it does mean that Mikel Arteta's side need to win and hope that North London rivals Tottenham lose to Norwich on the final day of the season. Newcastle, they went ahead early in the second half. A good performance from them. Ben White put the ball into his own net for the first, and then Bruno Guimaraes doubled their lead late on, much to the pleasure.
We have been able to deal with a lot of situations throughout the seasons, difficult ones, good ones, when we were under pressure to maintain the level and play. It's true that the squad suffered a lot with a lot of injuries and players not being in best condition to play, suspension, but that not can be the excuse to the Newcastle were 100 times better than us.
Well, in terms of the title race, a win at Southampton for Liverpool tonight would see them move to within a point of leaders Manchester City. Host Aston Villa on the last day of the season. Liverpool, meanwhile, will play Wolves. Huddersfield Town are through to the Championship playoff final at Wembley after a 2-1 aggregate semi-final win over Luton Town. The tie was level at 1-1 from the first leg when Jordan Rhodes got on to the end of that free kick there late in the game to reach the final. They will meet either Nottingham Forest or Sheffield United on the 29th of May. Chris Kirchner is set to officially become the new owner of Derby County after exchanging contracts for the sale of the club with administrators. The American businessman will fund the club, who have been relegated from the Championship from next week, and says he doesn't anticipate any issues completing the process of the sale. In a statement, the administrators, Quantuma, said the exchange was conditional on the sale of the stadium, EFL approval and receiving secured creditor consent. Completion of it all is targeted for on or before the 31st of May. So some potential good news there for Derby County fans.
They need it, don't they?
Absolutely.
It's been a strange old season for them, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But, you know, to go back to what's happening with Arsenal, it's good when you get to the final day of the Premier League and there's quite a bit still to sort out, both at the top and the bottom.
Well, this is it. We've got relegation at the bottom. You know, we've got Burnley, Everton, Leeds, don't we? You know, all going down to the final games. We've got, you know, potential title race. Could be, you know...
Potential.
It's still there. It's still there.
Mathematically possible. You know, top four. That's what you want, isn't it, for, you know...
Still really exciting.
Yeah.
It keeps getting better.
And they all kick off at 4 o'clock on Sunday, don't they? So it's one of those ones where you...
Get on the couch.
Yeah. Watch it all. Watch the magic unfold. In hopefully some nice weather. Have you seen the weather today outside?
Should we have a look? Show everybody the weather outside. Come on. There we go.
That's our back garden.
I was just going to say.
We're live at a Lido Lido.
Where's the hot tub, Daniel?
Yeah, that's that. Oh, you could. I mean, I'm not that big a swimmer, but you could just.
I love a swim.
Could plunge in there, couldn't you?
You could, yeah.
A right old plunge.
Somerset, isn't it? Taunton, near Taunton.
I think it's Wivelscombe.
Oh, well done. But you have got much better eyesight than I have. I can't see that.
Matt could tell us what the weather's going to be like wherever you are this morning. Is it a mixed bag? What's happening?
It is a bit of a mixed bag. This morning, great. Later on, not so great across the Western Edge, but perfect day for Lido in some parts of the country.
He went Lido.
Lido. We're never sure it's Lido Lido.
I've always gone Lido.
OK, we'll go with you.
Lido. Anyway, good morning to you. Yeah, it's actually quite nice at the morning in the west. This is Chiara Bay and Anglesey in the last half hour. Blue skies there, gathering amounts of cloud, but it's across western areas we'll see the biggest change through today as we start to see rain push in later, and some of that could become heavy and indeed thundery. It's all down to this strip of cloud here and the Atlantic. It's moving its way northwards. This bubble is where we've got the heaviest of the rain, but just to the east of it, we're dragging in southerly or southeasterly winds, and it's dragging in some pretty warm air from France at the moment, and it's that which is boosting the temperatures. Quite a humid start out there. Lots of low cloud for some, especially northeastern parts of Scotland, where it's going to stay misty and foggy for a few hours yet, maybe all day in parts of Orkney and Shetland. Cloud breaks up elsewhere, and then the sunshine turns hazy. In the west, though, the cloud will thicken up. There'll be some outbreaks of rain, a bit showery to begin with, but then turning heavier and heavier, especially for those in and around the Irish Sea later in the day. So temperatures here will take a bit of a knock later, 15 to 18. But further east, 20 degrees in parts of northeast Scotland, warmest day of the year for Scotland, 26 towards the southeast. hottest day of the year for the UK. And pollen levels, of course, with the sunshine out, will be shooting up, especially after the rain of recent days. But let's look at that rain in the west. Heavy and thundery at times, could give some minor flooding as that pushes its way eastwards quite quickly this evening. And not as much rain towards the southeast corner, but even here could have caught the odd flash of lightning, rumble of thunder during the first half of the night. Further showers continue to western Scotland and Northern Ireland. Most of you, though, will become dry. Just beware, it could be quite windy for a time tonight in the northwest of Scotland, but for all, temperatures in double figures away from Shetland, where we start tomorrow with the wettest of the weather. Few showers in the north and west of Scotland. Most of you tomorrow, again, another fine day, probably a better day for many in the west with some longer spells of sunshine here. Sunshine will turn hazy through the day, turning cloudier in the south later on, and we'll see the return of some heavy and thundery showers. Now, tomorrow, we've cleared away some of the humid air towards the east of us, so temperatures down a little bit, but at 17 to 23 for most, still above where we should be for this stage in May. But then as we go through the latter stage of Wednesday into Wednesday night, watch these two weather systems here. They'll push their way eastwards, develop as they go across the country. So Wednesday night could be a disturbed night's sleep with some heavy and thundery downpours around. Most of those clear out the way for Thursday. Again, by day, should be a dry day for many with some sunny spells. Just one or two isolated showers, mainly to the north and the west. Most of you will stay dry. Strong sunshine overhead, though, where you've got it, and temperatures 17 to 22 degrees. So still feeling on the warm side. As we go towards the end of the week and into the weekend, we will gradually see those temperatures drop away a little bit. Greater chance of some showers around as we go through Friday in particular, and then into the weekend, one or two isolated showers. Bit of sunshine too. Temperatures mid to high teens rather than the low 20s. That's how it's looking. Back to you both.
Lovely. Thanks, Matt.
It's fair to say, isn't it, we've all needed a little bit of light relief recently. Yes. And in a couple of minutes, we're going to speak to the man who delivered that in bucket loads on Saturday night.
Sam Ryder gave the UK our best Eurovision result since 1998, and he gave us a new anthem. Most importantly of all, he gave us a rare moment of pure joy. Let's have a look at how he got there.
So give me a sign. Hit me, baby, one more.
I shared my first video of me singing in my mum's kitchen, singing Britney Spears' Hit Me Baby One More Time, as high as I could, and I thought nothing of it.
I just want everything. Step right left to my beat. Go easy on me, baby.
How have you gone from making TikTok videos to representing your country at Europe?
I have no idea. You guys supporting, I'm just going to be singing for you. First rehearsal, let's go. I'm witnessing just this tangible energy of light was incredible.
183 points.
It was extraordinary. At one point we were complaining we only got 3 from someone. And we were like, last year we would have been delighted to get 3. Delighted to get anything. So it was such a fairy tale.
I've searched around the universe, been down some black holes. There's nothing but space, man. And I wanna go home.
Wow, what a ride. Do you remember when I showed you that
I know.
in the studio?
I was obsessed with them, wasn't I?
Like,
Played them all day.
This man's voice is incredible.
Kept sending them to you. His voice is amazing.
Well, here he is. He's with us this morning.
Hi.
Good morning, Sam. So nice to have you on the programme. Does it still feel a bit surreal, a little bit weird, thinking about what happened on Saturday night?
It's so, well, I'm just hearing the piece that you put together before coming on. Thank you so much. It's quite emotional, actually, hearing all of that. I don't know, makes it a bit more real, so thank you.
Right, it's a pleasure. And I think so many people have enjoyed watching you enjoy it so much. I think that's been part of the magic, I think. You've really loved every single second of it. I think that came across in your performances as well.
Well, honestly, if you're there in that arena and just kind of...
Sam, have you had a chance? The whole thing?
I tried. You know what? I sat in bed last night and I thought I want to watch the whole thing from start to finish, just to kind of like, I don't know, prove to myself it was real, and it happened. And I got about 3 songs in and fell asleep. I was exhausted, so I'm going to try and do it tonight.
I don't know how.
Viewing.
It was so busy. How on earth did you fall asleep? It's the noisiest thing I've ever seen.
It must have been such an experience to be in there.
Honestly, it was so cool.
Sorry, Sam. It must have been such an experience to be in there. And I think lots of people watched you as well and were, really interested to see how you reacted when we're used to never seeing the UK entry ever be interviewed, and you were interviewed a couple of times during the show. And we also saw you go over to was it the Swiss entry who didn't have any points at that moment, and you went over and so had a word with them. I mean, you seem to be loving the whole experience.
Yeah. Well, it was amazing because you become quite friendly with everyone. Obviously, what we see and what the public see mainly is the final event. So, like, the 3 minutes per artist on stage. But of course, it goes on quite a lot longer than that. The pre-parties, there was one in London, Amsterdam, Barcelona, Madrid, Tel Aviv, and you get to know the artists in the run-up. And you become quite friendly, and it's kind of like a summer camp, the best summer camp you've ever been to. And so, of course, you're all invested in each other by the end. You're all rooting for each other. Like, everyone demands a certain admiration and respect to get on that stage in front of, what was it, the ratings in the end? Over 180 million, which is, again, bonkers. You can't comprehend that number. So when Marius, he did well in the jury vote, but when the public votes came in and Switzerland unfortunately got 0, it sucks because he did such a good job even getting on that stage. The song was amazing, his voice, his character, he's a strong, fantastic, inspirational artist, like all of the other delegates. And just want to give him a hug. When something like that happens, just want to make sure they're okay. And I'm sure he was absolutely fine. It's just me. I want to give him a massive hug.
And Sam, you wrote or co-wrote your song, Spaceman, didn't you? Long before Eurovision was even an idea. How did that come about? And did you ever think at that point this could be a Eurovision song?
No, no idea whatsoever. I'm looking out the window now and the sun is blazing. It's a gorgeous day, and it was much like the day that me and my friends wrote Spaceman about 1.5 years ago. We got into the studio. It was the first day that we'd met each other properly. So kind of having a quick cup of tea, saying hello, and then sat at the piano, and Spaceman was written in about 10 minutes. It's a gorgeous, experience as a songwriter when you have days like that, because you don't really feel like you're there, but you're not necessary. All you need to do is get out of the way of the song. It feels like it's already present, in the ether. I'm sure other people watching this who are songwriters or writers in general can understand that. Sometimes those ideas just come seemingly out of midair.
And it's already, I think it's you're in the top 5 at the minute. What would it mean to you if Spaceman was to get to #1?
I mean, look, from the very beginning of singing in my shed on TikTok, and I heard you guys were being so kind talking about that, and just watching those videos and sharing them. I had no idea that would take on the life that it did. There was no expectation about numbers or followers or kind of where it would take me. So I carried that same intention and energy into Eurovision. I kept saying that the scoreboard is the last thing that I was thinking about, is the opportunity to be part of something so cool and so prestigious. I'm such a fan of Eurovision. I think it kind of highlights the best of us.
Appreciate your honesty. And the other great thing, I think, was that not only did you and the UK have the first good night in a long time, but ultimately it was a Ukrainian winner on a night where there was a lot of solidarity shown for what they have all been through.
Yeah, I'm so happy with the result. Absolutely, in a heartbeat.
So, are you allowed to re-enter? I'm sure you are. If you were offered to do it again next year, would you do it again?
I think you can.
I don't know if I'd do it next year. I think I'll still be catching up on sleep. It is brutal, the schedule for Eurovision, and also I want to. The main thing, I really wish and hope that the future of Eurovision and the attitude changes. That was our goal right from the beginning, to try and lift the negative stigma, because I really believe that it's unfounded. It shouldn't exist. It's a beautiful thing and should be celebrated so much more. We're so lucky to have it, and life's too short to not enjoy Eurovision, in my opinion. But also, now that we've kind of shone a bit of that positivity there, hopefully the plethora of diverse, amazing talent in the UK will be beating down the doors to be involved in Eurovision going forward. And I think that can only be an amazing thing.
Well, you've done something many people have struggled to do over the years, Sam, and congratulations to you. Thank you so much for being on the show this morning, and enjoy every success over the coming weeks and years ahead. Thank you, Vin.
Appreciate it. Have a lovely last day, mate, and also just massive shout out to my team, because although I was on that stage, there were so many people involved to make it happen. So bless you both. Thanks so much for having me on.
Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Lovely to see you. I love him.
He's a nice
yeah,
man, isn't he?
We love him, don't we?
Go on, Sam. Stay with us. We've got the headlines coming up for you.
Voodoo, my blood is living. Listen. I'm yours.
Colour, the beauty, the joy of life.
I'm listening.
The secret of life is in art. Art is an improvement on life.
And to live is the rarest thing in the world.
I'm beginning to enjoy your company.
Passionate performances every Sunday night. Watch on BBC4 and iPlayer.
Good morning, welcome to Breakfast with Sally Nugent and Dan Walker.
Our headlines for you today. Blackpool's Jake Daniels becomes the first current male professional footballer in more than 30 years to come out as gay.
Now I just do feel like I'm ready to be myself, be free and just be confident with it all.
Hundreds of Ukrainian fighters are evacuated from steelworks in Mariupol, having been trapped for more than 2 months.
We've had the words, we now need action. That is the message from Belfast as the government prepares to set out its strategy for the Northern Ireland Protocol.
Also this morning, facing up to his past, fitness guru Joe Wicks will be with us to talk about growing up with a drug-addicted father and a mother with OCD.
It all reverts back to the old days, and it was just like, that was really hard. When you love someone so much, you just want them to be clean. It was difficult, you know.
And a pretty humid day to come, with some eastern areas under hazy sunshine seeing some of the highest temperatures of the year. But if you're in the west today, early sunshine will give way to cloud and eventually some outbreaks of rain. I'll have all the details with the forecast here on Breakfast.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, the 17th of May. Leading figures in sport, politics and entertainment have praised the Blackpool striker Jake Daniels after he announced he's gay.
It's the first time in more than 30 years that a male footballer has come out while still playing for a professional club in the UK. The 17-year-old said it's a relief to be honest about his sexuality. Our correspondent Lauren Moss has this report.
He's one of the Championship's emerging young stars, and usually Jake Daniels' football does the talking. He scored 30 goals for Blackpool's youth side this season. But now, at the age of 17, he says he doesn't want to hide who he is off the pitch anymore, and has become the first UK footballer in the men's side to come out as gay in 30 years.
It's been such a long time of lying, and I've just processed every day of just about how I want to do it, when I want to do it. And I think now is just the right time to do it. You know, I feel like I'm ready to tell people about my story. I want people to know the real me. And lying all the time just isn't what I've wanted to do, and it has been a struggle. But now I just do feel like I'm ready to be myself.
Justin Fashanu was the first, and until now, the only professional player to reveal he was gay while still in the game in 1990. He took his own life 8 years later. Daniel's announcement comes a few months after Australia top-flight player Josh Cavallo made his own last October.
I'm a footballer and I'm gay.
Others spoke out after hanging up their boots.
You go from being scared to excited to being worried to being, apprehensive, but all of that combined, it's a really special moment, and it saves lives. The bottom line of it is somebody somewhere thinks they're better off dead than for the world to know who they are. So, first and foremost, it adds a layer of confidence and inspiration and hope for people who are, living in silence.
Daniel's announcement has also been welcomed by colours across the political and sporting spectrum. Prime Minister Boris Johnson tweeted to thank him for his bravery, saying it would have taken huge courage. Former Man United and England star Rio Ferdinand said the decision deserved massive respect and called for a safe and supportive environment, a sentiment echoed by the Premier League, which tweeted, "Football is for everyone."
he's going down a path that many others will follow. They've probably just been waiting to see how it pans out for whoever's first. And I think once they see that the overwhelming majority of people will be more than accepting, others will follow suit.
Jake Daniels only made his championship debut earlier this month. He says he's taken another step into the unknown, but keeping his sexuality secret affected his mental health. Being open is already having results on the pitch.
The day I told my mum and my sister, the day after I scored 4, so it just shows how much of a weight off the shoulders it was, and just a massive relief.
He hopes his truth will be the inspiration for others.
Well, Lauren is outside Bloomfield Road this morning, which is Blackpool's stadium, of course. Lauren, good to talk to you on the programme. It has been a really positive response, hasn't it?
Absolutely, Dan. Good morning. It has been on the front pages and the back pages this morning and on social media last night, with people congratulating Jake Daniels and saying how brave he's been in making this announcement. And, you know, many people might be wondering, why does this matter in 2022? Well, it matters because Jake has become the first player playing professionally in the UK men's game to come out as gay in 30 years. And he said he thought long and hard about doing this. He thought about hiding it until he'd retired, but he didn't want to live a lie. And he said that, you know, he's expecting that there may be some reactions, some homophobia towards him, because of course we know that it's been well documented in the men's game, with the men's game lagging behind society's attitudes, I think it's fair to say, and the women's game as well. I mean, in 2019 in the Women's World Cup there were around 40 women players, lesbian, gay and bisexual, openly out. But this today is a big step forward for the men's game. And Blackpool Football Club, they say that they're incredibly proud of Jake, and they hope that that football can lead the way in tackling discrimination and prejudice. It remains to be seen whether that will in fact happen, but Jake Daniels certainly hopes to be the first of many making an announcement like this if players feel comfortable to do so. He says he hopes to be a role model that will inspire others.
Thank you very much for that, Lauren. Good to talk to you this morning. 264 Ukrainian fighters have been evacuated from the steelworks in Mariupol, where they've been holding out against a fierce Russian attack for more than 2 months.
The troops, many of them badly injured, have been taken to Russian-held parts of Ukraine. Well, Joe Inwood is in Lviv for us this morning. Morning, Joe. What more can you tell us about what condition these people might be in?
Well, some of them, the 53 that you referred to, some of them are in an incredibly bad state. We haven't been given the exact details, but you can just see from the pictures that were released, you can see rows upon row of men, some of them barely moving. We've seen videos before. I've unfortunately seen some rather gruesome ones from inside of people with limbs broken, of missing limbs. We understand that they've really been lacking medical care. We don't know exactly what state they will be in now, but we understand they are being taken to a medical facility where they're being given treatment. The Russians say they're being given treatment, and President Zelensky confirmed that. We understand as well that the United Nations and the Red Cross are involved in this, and I think that's quite important to understand, that the only way that we've seen any successful evacuations from this plant over the course of the last few weeks is when those two international bodies have been involved, and they seem to have had success again this time. We know as well there were another couple of hundred that were taken elsewhere. We don't think they were badly injured because they've been taken to a sort of detention facility inside Russian territory, and our understanding is that all of them are going to be exchanged in some sort of prisoner swap. Now, interestingly, in the last 10 minutes or so, we've actually spoken to a family of one of the men who we understand was inside, and they said they've been given no information at all, and the only information they've got, they found out through the media.
Joe, thanks very much indeed. That's Joe Inwood live in Lviv for us this morning.
The Foreign Secretary Liz Truss is expected to make a statement to Parliament today, paving the way for making changes to the post-Brexit trading arrangements for Northern Ireland, known of course as the Protocol. Well,
here is the view of Stormont this morning. Boris Johnson was in Belfast yesterday for talks with the DUP and with Sinn Féin too.
Well, our political correspondent Adam Fleming is in Westminster. Adam, I know you'll be keeping a very close eye on that today. What can we expect, do you think, from Liz Truss?
So the Cabinet are going to be discussing in the next few hours exactly what to do. But as of last night, the position is that Liz Truss, the Foreign Secretary, will do a statement to Parliament around about lunchtime. She will repeat the government's position, which is that they want to negotiate with the EU and agree changes to the protocol together. But if that's not possible, the UK government wants to have an insurance policy in its back pocket where they could override the bits of the Brexit deal as it relates to Northern Ireland that they don't like and replace that with some British domestic law. And she will talk about the process, about introducing that legislation. And then at some point, probably before the summer, it will start its way through Parliament. So not a huge change in the government's position, but a little bit more clarity about what they might do if they don't get their way with Brussels. And we got a little bit more clarity, just a bit, from the Northern Ireland Secretary, Brandon Lewis.
Well, we've always said we take nothing off the table. If we do need to legislate, we will not shy away from doing that. As I say, the Foreign Secretary will outline the decisions that we make on that later today. One of the challenges we've got to deal with is the fact that at the moment we've got over 200 businesses in Great Britain not supplying Northern Ireland, people unable to access goods and products in Northern Ireland the way that they should be able to do as citizens of the UK. And it's one of the things when the Prime Minister was in Northern Ireland with me yesterday and met the political party leaders, all of them, I have to say, of all parties, were of the common view that there are issues with the protocol that need to be resolved. And we're very cognizant of that. We would like to do that by agreement with the EU. But if we can't do that, we've always said we will take the action we need to take.
Now, what the EU has said is they do not want the UK acting unilaterally. In other words, just doing something on their own without negotiating it with the EU. I don't think Liz Truss today talking about the prospect of some legislation in the near future counts as unilateral action. So I think it will not derail the talks with the EU and they'll carry on talking. Unlike you and I, because I think that's it.
Is that the last one? Adam?
No, unless I'm on again at 9 o'clock and then that'll be a bit
yeah, that'd be really awkward,
You know
wouldn't it? Is that when you say goodbye to somebody, then walk off in the same direction?
Oh, Adam, what a lovely thing.
Well, it's been a pleasure anyway, Adam. I've always enjoyed talking to you. Your insight is fantastic and you're a pleasure to work with. Thank you.
You too.
Right, that's enough of that.
First one, that's your first goodbye, isn't it?
Right.
There's some more coming, folks.
OK. Matt, good morning.
Let's move on.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Nice to be with you both today. Bringing a bit more sunshine across Scotland compared with yesterday. And it's going to be quite a warm day here. Very good morning. Temperatures up to around 20 degrees in the north of Scotland later on. Warmer still towards the south and the east, but it will be a day in which we'll split the country into two. Because across some western areas, we're going to see more cloud, outbreaks of rain develop. Could be an odd isolated shower across some eastern areas, but very, very few in number. Mist and low cloud across eastern Scotland, becoming confined to parts of Orkney and Shetland. So most of you will brighten up, some hazy sunshine around. And with a south to southeasterly wind, bringing humid air all the way up from France, we could see temperatures top 26 degrees in the southeast corner, a good 3 degrees higher than we've seen so far this year, 20 Celsius around the Moray Firth. These western areas, though, generally around the mid to high teens, and that's because here we'll finish the day with outbreaks of rain, which will be heavy at times, even thundery through the afternoon and evening. So this is us into the evening rush hour, pushing its way northwards and eastwards, southwest England, Wales, Isle of Man, parts of Northern Ireland, and just fringing into the northwest of England too. We start to see that rain. It also developed through Dumfries and Galloway, Argyll and Bute. That heavy and at times thundery rain passes its way eastwards as we go through tonight. Some clearer skies later on, just 1 or 2 showers. And whilst it'll still be another mild night tonight, 10 to 14 degrees, not quite as muggy as it was last night. And tomorrow, touch fresher, but still warm with plenty of sunshine around. I have more details on that later. Dan and Sally, back to you both.
Brilliant. We'll see you later. Thanks, Matt.
Now, Joe Wicks is one of those people who, from the outside, it looks like he's got a beautiful, charmed, wonderful life, isn't it? He's got legions of fans, a hugely successful business and a gorgeous family. We even joined him, well, most of us joined him most days, didn't we, during the pandemic for PE?
We loved him during the pandemic.
He was great, wasn't
he? He kept us all going, didn't he? In fact, as he revealed in a BBC documentary last night, Joe's childhood was anything but easy. It's a really powerful watch, and Joe is with us this morning. Morning, Joe. And I know it must be really tough for you, even now, just standing here waiting to talk to us, to hear that whole conversation played back. A hugely emotional experience, even making that documentary, I'm sure, Joe.
Yeah, you know, it really was. And even when I watched that scene back a few times, that emotion, that feeling I get from being that child, you know, having those lies and that deceit around addiction was really tough. But I'm really proud of the documentary. The response has been amazing. And I think, you know, me, my mum, my dad, my brother, and my friend Brendan, and all the people we meet along the way have been really open and honest. And I think that it's important. I think it's a sign of hope that you can work through these things and get through your mental health struggles.
We saw, sort of alluded to there, that your dad and his drug addiction when you were younger. What sort of other things were you going through at home?
So my dad's childhood trauma manifested in an addiction from a young age. He was, using heroin to soothe himself. And my mum's childhood trauma and what she went through as a young girl manifested in, extreme OCD, so cleaning the house 3 or 4 times a day. And she had anxiety, severe anxiety, and also eating disorders. So I was around this. It felt like that was my life, and that everyone's parents were like that. It was only when I started hanging out with other kids and going around other people's houses that I realised that, my life was very different. And it was a really challenging, chaotic, manic upbringing in my household.
And Joe, how did you make the decision to share your story? Because it's not something, from everything we see publicly about you, it's, as Dan said in the introduction, you seem to have this really gorgeous, glamorous, fun-filled life. Why did you want to share this?
So I've kind of shared this story in the past in terms of my journey and my dad's addiction on my BBC Desert Island Disc. That was the first time I publicly spoke about things, because I think it's important to share these things, and I'm proud of my history and my past. And these things have really inspired me and given me so much drive to want to help others. But essentially during lockdown, hundreds of DMs, thousands of letters from people suffering with anxiety and depression, all the school visits. I speak to parents and teachers. This is on the rise. This is increasing. And so I thought if I could, and obviously in the process, it became a personal journey. But I just hope that the documentary gives people something to focus on, something to work towards, because, there is support out there, is services. And the most important thing of all is just openly talking about these things with yourself, with your parents, with your children, and then you can work through it much quicker. What sort of response have you had to it, Joe? So I wanted to start off Instagram last night just to kind of let it settle and watch it with Rosie. But yeah, hundreds of comments and DMs and wonderful people saying how much it's really opened up their minds. Even adults that have got trauma locked inside them they didn't quite realise. And they said it's really opened up some questions in my mind, and I want to reach out to my dad or my mum and, repair that relationship. Because the thing about addiction and especially mental health illness is relationships can break down so quickly. And sometimes you give up because it was too painful, but you can, as you evolve, you can learn and go back and repair that relationship and reconnect with someone who's really struggled through their life. And that's what I really hope people do. They reach out to someone, they talk to somebody, and maybe they can find some peace and happiness from that. And Joe, you talk, don't you, about your own, I suppose, I don't know, I don't want to call it an addiction, but you like to be on your phone a lot, don't you? You're on social media a lot. Is that something that you have now thought about and might change? Yeah, I think that documentary caught me at a time where it was super intense. It was almost overwhelming because I was filming the documentary. I was getting a lot of messages around it because I was talking about it. I've reduced my screen time. I'm being much more productive, and also, having those boundaries where I'm not on it late at night. I'm not taking the phone to the bedroom. I'm being more present with the kids. But it's not the phone I'm addicted to. It's the connection between humans. It's the love. It's the feedback when I help someone. That's what I love, because I know that I can reach more people when I spend hours and hours replying to people. But I'm hoping the documentary does that on a bigger scale. And I'm learning to, I'm in a much more positive place with that now. I've got a better hold of it, I think. Joe, what have your family made of all of this, of making the documentary? Because I know it's primarily about you, but it's a whole family experience, isn't it? Yeah, I said to my mum and dad, look, you don't have to be in this. It's not essential to the story, but if you want to be a part of it, it'd be amazing. Really, your story in itself is helping a mental health issue in its own right. So yeah, it was emotional. We found it really difficult, but I think as a family now, we're proud. We've created something that isn't about us. It's about, can we help another family or another teenager, someone who's struggling? The feedback's been incredible. And if you haven't seen it yet, it's on iPlayer. I'd love you to see it, because it might just open up. Where you wanted to look at this, you were able to talk about it. I think, yeah, you just get to a certain age where, as a teenager, I was angry, I was resentful, I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with what was going on. But now, as an adult and as a parent, I want to uncover, why am I behaving this way? Why being there with them has made me want to be stable, consistent, loving and patient. And sometimes I get that right, sometimes I don't. But I definitely think there comes a point in your life where you start to question who you are and why you are the way you are. And it's always from our childhood. It always comes from childhood trauma and experiences.
Well, Joe, we really appreciate you coming on and talking us through that today. I'm sure many people have watched it and will watch it. Thank you very much. Have a great day. And we should say that Joe Wicks, Facing My Childhood, is on BBC iPlayer. And we should also say, and I know Joe would support us in this as well, if you've been affected by any of what he's just talked about, or you feel you're going through any of that in your own life, you can visit BBC Action Line, which has details of all sorts of organisations which can help. The address there is on the screen. It's bbc.co.uk/Action Line.
It's a great programme. Watch
really
it
is,
if
yeah.
you can. It's fantastic. Now, we have all seen the price of heating our homes go up at an alarming rate. So just imagine what councils are paying to keep swimming pools at the right temperature.
Swim England are warning that rising energy bills could actually force some pools and leisure centres to shut down. Our correspondent Jenny Kumar has got she's got a great job today, hasn't she? She is out in Somerset at a pool to tell us more. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Withy Pool here in Somerset, and it's a glorious morning. The pool's been busy with swimmers getting in their exercise nice and early, but swimmers here, like many others across the country, are seeing the cost of a swim go up and the temperature of the water go down, and this is to do with rising energy costs, and it's a big issue for small community pools such as this one, as well as bigger public pools. And I've been to Bodmin Leisure Centre in Cornwall to find out more. Families enjoying the fun of the water. This is Alfred's first time in the pool. His mum feels it's important for him to learn to swim.
That's fantastic.
But as pool operators struggle with rising energy bills, prices are on the up.
It's really difficult to pay more because everything's going up. Petrol's going up to get here. It's going to be harder, and I think we definitely have to cut down on the kind of paid activities that we do.
GLL, the UK's biggest pool operator, runs the council's leisure centres here in Cornwall. They say the average cost of running a pool has gone up by almost £250,000, and that energy costs have gone up by 150% since 2019, meaning an additional £35 million in costs.
These are our gas boilers which heat the pool water.
Swimming fees have already gone up by 5% here in the last year. Prices could go up further to help meet energy bills. Is there anything you can do as an organisation to be more energy efficient?
I mean, projects like this, having new equipment installed is more energy efficient. We have solar panels, we have covers on the pool to keep the heat in, but there's only so much we can do to keep the costs down. It is expensive to run a swimming pool.
Another energy-saving measure they're looking at is turning down the temperature of the pool.
I'm not too keen on the colder pools bit, but I appreciate that there almost certainly will be higher costs to things. It's kind of what's happening everywhere with everything at the minute. It's not ideal, and I think it means that access to things like this becomes much more reduced as well.
The governing body, Swim England, say the health benefits of swimming can be costed at £350 million a year, with 4 out of 10 pool users saying it's their only exercise. But campaigners warn that energy costs could force pool closures.
To see leisure centres close is heartbreaking when they have such a purpose in the local community. The public health benefits are fantastic for all aspects of our community, and I would hate to see more closures. It breaks my heart, if I'm honest. Closing Falmouth swimming pool was one of the worst experiences of my life, being perfectly honest.
This is that pool in Falmouth. It closed last month. GLL say it was too costly to run. It's just one example of the financial and pandemic pressures providers were facing even before the energy hikes.
Oh, it's extremely sad. We've now got this building up here that's shut. We've got hundreds of children that haven't got swimming lessons. Across the country, we need support from the government. We need support to keep the centres open that are already open, find ways again to make them sustainable, or looking at sustainable ways of opening new centres. And this isn't going to be the first or last leisure centre that we see closing down.
A government spokesman says they've given sports centres £1 billion to help them through the pandemic, and that they're in regular contact with different sectors to see how they can best be supported. But leisure providers say they need more support soon to keep services afloat. Well, welcome back to Withy Pool. I've had a feel of the water temperature here. It's 25 degrees. It used to be 27 degrees, but they've turned it down by 2 degrees, and that's saved 30% in energy costs. Now, I'll just show you the boilers here that are used to heat the pool. They are like your ordinary domestic boiler, but the cost of heating the pool has almost tripled in the last year. Now, I'm joined by Liz Hurry. She is the chair of this pool. Liz, how much of an impact is this having on the pool?
It's really worrying for us. The tripling of the gas price is crippling us. We just really hope that we can keep the pool open. We're doing our very best because it's for everybody's well-being that the pool is here.
And what have you done in terms of renewable energy to try and mitigate things?
We're very lucky. Last year we had an array of solar panels installed, and that's helping us reduce the electricity costs. But the pool is heated by gas, so we'd love to get some funding to change that so that it was renewable.
And how concerned are you about the impact in terms of accessibility and affordability on the community here?
Yeah, after the pandemic we realised just how important the pool was to everybody, and we just really need to keep it open and accessible to everyone, so we just hope we can do that.
Liz Hurry, thank you for talking to us. So pools here and indeed across the country, like households, are trying to figure out just how to deal with these rising energy costs. Back to you.
Jenny, thank you very much indeed. Doesn't it look gorgeous there?
It does. Sun's perfect.
Sun's just come out.
That sort of splashy water noise.
Oh, 25 degrees, still quite warm.
I'll have a slice of that.
Yeah.
It's 8:28.
You probably will quite soon.
I'll be in the pool tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
And at 9:15, Morning Live is going to follow us on BBC One, and Gethin and Sam can tell us what's on the programme. Good morning.
We certainly can. Good morning to you. Coming up on the show today, it's a debilitating condition. 80% of us will experience at some point in our lives. Lower back pain is the biggest cause of disability around the world.
Yeah, Dr. Zander's here to tell us how you can manage it at home and why painkillers may not be the best solution.
That's right, I'll explain why ibuprofen might make it worse in the long term, but how talking therapy really could make a difference.
Also, with the cost of living crisis forcing credit card borrowing to its highest level since records began, financial expert Iona Bain has advice if you're looking to clear your debt.
Yes, there are solutions that look like they could solve all your debt problems, but despite being advertised all over social media, they're not right for everyone. I'll be giving you the facts so that you can decide what's best for you.
Plus, after being diagnosed with 2 brain tumours, EastEnder Martin Kemp has been living with epilepsy for 30 years. He'll be opening up about the effect it's had on his life and how finding out how those who have it can become seizure-free.
And we've got a triple helping of Strictly today. Former contestants Reece Stevenson and Maisie Smith have some exciting news about the new Strictly Keep Dancing tour. Awesome.
Got you, Gaff.
And Faye Tozer, she's back. And we're going to be dedicating Strictly Fitness to you, Dan Walker, this morning, as it's your last day on BBC Breakfast. And there's only one thing to do, is to relive this. Because everyone remembers it, everyone loves it.
It'd be rude not to, wouldn't it? It'd be rude not to.
And I think we're going to miss it. Dan, as we're going to miss you as well, thanks for all the laughs over the last couple of years on Morning Live. You've been an absolute delight, and everyone here at Morning Live wishes you the very best in your next adventure.
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much.
You go.
That is lovely. And what I'm particularly enjoying today is that Zan's got the linen out again. Is it another? Yeah, is it another one?
It's a different one.
Oh,
it's a different one.
Lovely.
I'm not a one jacket guy.
I love how you've made that about Zan.
I'm going to miss you so much, Dan.
I'm going to miss you. I'll keep watching, guys. Thank you very much. And thanks for all the love and support. And have a great show this morning at 9:15. We'll see you later on.
See you later. Have a good last half hour.
Don't read this next bit. Stay with us, everybody. We've got a really special bit of the programme coming up for about the next 40 minutes or so, just more than half an hour. So do stay tuned.
Can I do this bit now?
Go on.
OK, time for the news, travel and the weather, wherever you are. We'll see you for whatever she's got planned in a moment. Hello, good morning. Watching Breakfast with Sally and Dan today.
It is 8:34. We are reflecting this morning on that groundbreaking moment in men's professional football when the Blackpool player Jake Daniels announced that he's gay.
Let's hear what he had to say about the decision to go public.
It's been such a long time of lying, and I've just processed every day of just about how I want to do it, when I want to do it, and I think now is just the right time to do it. You know, I feel like I'm ready to tell people about my story. I want people to know the real me, and lying all the time just isn't what I've wanted to do, and it has been a struggle, but now I just do feel like I'm ready to be myself, be free and just be confident with it all. The day I told my mum and my sister, the day after we played Accrington and I scored 4, so it just shows how much of a weight off the shoulders it was and just a massive relief.
Well, Ryan Atkin was England's first openly gay football referee when he came out back in 2017. He joins us, as you can see, on the sofa. Lovely to have you with us today.
Thank you.
And also we can say hello to former rugby league player Keegan Hurst, who came out while he was still playing the game. Keegan, great to have you on the show as well.
Thanks,
Ryan, let's come to you first of all. What did you make of the announcement yesterday and the sort of initial reaction, I suppose?
It's monumental. You know, I've always said that it probably will be a young person, and you've got someone who's got his whole career ahead of him. You know, and he talks about mental health. He talks about being the best that he can be. You know, he came out to his parents, his sister, and then he scores 4 goals. And, you know, what great advocacy for other young people who are in the sport to see that actually your sexuality is not going to stop you from playing in that game.
And Keegan, if I could come to you, you know, obviously we've seen the words from Jake yesterday. He's 17, but showed a level of emotional maturity that I think was really, really striking. When you look at the situation that he's in now, having been through a similar experience, what advice would you give him?
Yeah, just enjoy it. You know, you heard him talk about in his interview yesterday how that weight's been lifted. You know, even just telling his mum and his sister. You know, I've spoken to Jake over the last few months, and he's in a really good spot. He's in a really good headspace. Obviously, the season's done. He can go into this next season with all the dust still settled, and he'll just be able to embrace who he is off the field, which is going to help him on the field, 100%.
And Keegan, how have you been able to help him?
We've just had a bit of dialogue. We've chatted over the last few months, and yeah, he just wanted to know what's it like. He spoke about some of his worries around people's reactions and what every single person who comes out, their worries are. That you know, it's just the same when you're in sport. It's just amplified a bit because there's teammates and there's fans and there's, you know, extra people that we you know, non-athletes have. So just delaying some of those things. But at 17 years old, to have the confidence and the comfort in who he is and what he's about is a real inspiration to young kids, because representation matters.
It's a big responsibility, Ryan, isn't it, for a 17-year-old, as Keegan was saying there?
Yeah. Massively, but he's come across as very mature. You know, this is something that he's planned. You know, he's worked very closely with a number of charities, and especially Stonewall, and it's great that he's had that support around him. And you always hear from individuals who have come out that their coaches and others have said not to come out, and this is a completely new story, and hopefully it's going to pave the way for other people if they want to open up about their sexuality, and that's really, really positive message for so many young people.
Did you get much negativity yourself? Because we were speaking earlier to a guest who was sort of saying there was 10% horrible stuff when they came out. What sort of reaction did you get?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get negativity. You get it as a referee anyway. But you only have to. But you only have to see from his social media that some of the hatred and some of the comments that have been made. But that shouldn't detract, because you're always going to have that. And actually, he talks about that quite openly in his interview. That, you know, he can't stop that. But actually, what he will do and what he's going to do is make sure that he works on blocking that out, because it's not important. But it does go to show where we are in professional sport. It does go to show what needs to be done. You know, the call was made. They wanted a player to come out. You've got a young 17-year-old. Now the authorities and the Football Association and anybody needs to look to protect him now.
Keegan, how important is it that at this point there is a team alongside Jake? Because, you know, we're talking a lot this morning, aren't we, about Jake and his bravery, and the focus is very much his story. But actually, you need the clubs to respond in the right way. You know, we as Ryan was saying, we need coaches to respond in the right way. And it seems that in this situation, all of that has fallen into place too.
Yeah, Blackpool have been really good with him. You know, his coaches, it just reaffirms your decision when you come out that this is what you want to do, this is how you want to, you know, present yourself to the world as an athlete, as a gay man. But then for your teammates to get behind you, for the coach to support you, for the club to say, you know, we'll help you with whatever you need. It just reaffirms that, and it allows you to really move forward and get past it initially, because you know there's going to be a lot of media, there's going to be a lot going on. So to know that that's there, and I'll tell you what his teammates will do as well. They'll keep him grounded. They won't let him, you know, get his head get too big, which is always a good thing.
Keegan, you know how you know, support works sometimes, don't you? And I suppose when it's during the dark times, isn't it? And when you're not having a good run, when he's not scoring goals, or when he's out of form or out of fitness or whatever, and there will be fans who will. They tend to pick holes, and they go at things which they know will aggravate you and they know that upset you. It might be relationships, it might be you know, something else in your life, and this will be something that there'll be some people out there who feel we can get under his skin, we can affect him by singing this, by saying that. That is going to happen, isn't it?
Well, it is, but it shouldn't. Just like it shouldn't when you know, if they use the colour of a player's skin, you know, it's exactly the same. You know, it's exactly the same principle. It's exactly the same level, you know, of discrimination. Discrimination is discrimination, whether it's homophobic, racist, or whatever. So, no, they shouldn't do it. But yeah, you're right, Dan. It probably will happen at some point. And there is part of being a professional athlete where, you know, there's a fine line between banter and abuse, right? And as a professional athlete, you know there's going to be a bit of crack with the fans, whether it's your own, whether more likely the away fans. And that goes to show how mature he is, knowing that that's coming down the pike, and not being afraid to go, do you know what, I'm going to power through it. And the best way to get through it is just to play well, do what you do, and be consistent. And I'm sure he will do. But yeah, he's going to have those dips in form, and that's where having that support of your teammates who initially, you know, who protect you is the beauty of team sport, I think.
And Ryan, obviously, when we heard this news yesterday, it felt like a really big deal, didn't it? But do you think we need to get to a point where it's not a big deal at all, actually? We shouldn't even be in the news.
Yeah, but unfortunately we see why it's so important, and you know, we hope, and you know, he wants to be a role model, and what a great role model at 17, and who knows, it could be a catalyst for more individuals within the sport. And we shouldn't detract, though, that actually the women's game have had openly gay people for a long time, but actually within the professional game, and especially in the United Kingdom, it's been a long time coming, and for it to be such a young person is very inspirational to a lot of people.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Really nice to see you, Ryan. And cheers. Keegan, good to talk to you as well. Have a great day.
Cheers, man.
It's 8:42. Let's get one last look at the weather. Here's Matt.
Morning, Matt.
Good morning, both. Bit of sunshine for your last day, Dan, here in Scotland, where we could see temperatures today around 20 degrees. Warmest day of the year so far for Scotland, certainly, and even warmer still for some in the south and east. There is some mist and low cloud around at the moment across north and east Scotland. Some of that will linger in Orkney and Shetland throughout. Some mist and low cloud across England and Wales, which will break up. Good sunny spells, but in western areas, the cloud will actually steadily thicken through the day. Outbreaks of rain becoming heavy, potentially thundery later, limiting the temperatures here in the southeasterly wind in the mid to high teens. But that southeasterly wind is bringing some very humid conditions, as you'll certainly notice this afternoon. As I said, 26 Celsius possible towards the southeast corner later on. Now let's concentrate though on the west, because you will be finishing the day here with some heavy and thundery rain. Not a great school pickup or rush hour for some across the southwest and Wales, where that rain will be especially heavy. Pushing also across into the Isle of Man, across much of eastern Northern Ireland, southwest Scotland, Dumfries and Galloway, Argyll and Bute. We could see it into northwest England by the time we hit 5, 6 o'clock too. It all pushes its way northwards and eastwards during the first part of the night. Could cause some minor flooding. Less in the way of rain towards the southeast, but even here there still could be the odd rumble of thunder, flash of lightning. That rain clears away into tomorrow morning. There'll be a few showers across parts of western Scotland and Northern Ireland. And tomorrow morning, not quite as humid as this morning, slightly fresher air, but still very mild at 10 to 14 degrees. And then as we go through the next few days and into the weekend, there'll be a fine day really for many on Thursday, after some showers on Wednesday late in the day, and then into the weekend it's going to feel cooler again, some outbreaks of rain, temperatures dropping a little bit. One thing's for sure, there's certainly someone in the studio who won't be seeing a 3 a.m. alarm call. Dan.
Thank you, Matt.
We can call you if you want.
Always.
Morning, everybody. A little bit of a moment now, because you know what we're doing? We're throwing away all of our scripts just for the last 25 minutes.
Most days, isn't it?
Gone. You ready? It's a big day on breakfast. As you know, it's Dan's last show. And Dan, we've got a couple of little surprises for you this morning.
I can see, yeah.
You're so nervous. You'd never get nervous.
I'm not nervous. You know I don't like this sort of thing, Sal. But
some brilliant pictures of you. I particularly like this one here, the one with no teeth. Where is it? Where's the one with no teeth? The little one, the school one.
Yeah,
that's particularly brilliant.
That's back when my mother used to cut my own hair.
She still... No, she doesn't. Right.
She stopped last year.
Oh, good. For anyone who doesn't know, we're just going to remind everybody now of some of your breakfast best bits. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Hello, this is Breakfast with Louise Minchin, with Naga Manchetti, it's with Sally Nugent and Dan Walker.
Why this feeling?
He has been a 6'7" ray of sunshine on our screens, and boy, are we going to miss him.
Thrill.
Yeah, I love Dan. Dan Walker.
Dan Walker, our bestie.
Grab him, Christine.
I've always wanted to grab Dan.
Mr. Wonderful.
I'll miss him when he goes. He's lovely, isn't he? Is it true to size?
I think he's a little bit taller than this. He was £10 10 ounces when he was born, you know.
Was he? Glad I weren't his mother.
Born in Crawley, adopted by Sheffield, Dan grew to be the perfect person to wake us up with a smile.
It's like go dance. I hear me coming through your speakers. I see me mashing up your airway.
That's some important news. Hold on it.
Okay.
There's been career highs, like this.
I think we should have practiced this before, I think.
We're joined by the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. Good morning, Dan. We've got a Kirkwood down.
And lots of lulls. Like this. And this.
Just punch the light in the Don't play it until I get the buzzer out. Wait, I haven't touched the buzzer yet.
This was broadcasting with a heart. Who could forget Tony?
You would love some sort of fly past over this memorial to mark the occasion.
It gives me great pleasure to say, look to the skies on 22 February for a very special flyby.
I could have not been here if them lads hadn't gave their lives.
And who could forget Terence?
Since my mother passed 20 years ago, I've had every Christmas on my own. And you do feel it very much so.
Hello.
How are you? Give me a hug.
If you watched BBC Breakfast this morning, I saw a VT that they did with a gentleman, and I invited him to the show tonight.
Tony, Terence, and one other person made Dan's last few years of broadcasting pretty special.
Hi, Dan. Do you remember we said that one day you would arrange us to meet? And look, I've met Tony.
Now then, me old. Are you all right? You have a lovely, lovely time and a lovely life, and best to all family.
I'm cheering for you. You're going to be amazing in your new chapter. I wish you all the luck. You're the best. Mwah.
I wish you all the very, very best in everything you do. You deserve it.
Good luck, Dad. We love you.
Lobster love to you, Dan. Lobster love you. Lobster love.
Good luck, Dan.
From Tony, Terence and the BBC Breakfast Red Sofa to Nadia and Lobsters and the Strictly Come Dancing Ballroom. What a ride it has been.
Hi Dan, Shirley Ballas here, and I want to send you a huge, huge congratulations for all the time that you've spent on BBC Breakfast. I wish you the very, very best on the next part of your journey, and stay in touch with me. I just adore you. Take care, my friend.
Dan, you are there, aren't you? Morning.
Morning. It's a big one. Now,
look! Thank you for making me laugh my leg off.
It's actually made for two people, so...
More than anyone knows.
Don't panic. I'm coming in full throttle. There you go. Now put your arm in there.
Thank you for being funny and kind. Thank you for being my friend.
Grab your tea.
I can't breathe. Help.
Can I say, first up, those slippers are magnificent.
I know, do you know what it is? I forgot. No, I actually forgot that I'm an idiot.
On these outside broadcasts, no one ever brings you a cup of tea, so we're going to try and solve that today. This is freshly brewed just for you.
Dan, thank you very much. It's only taken you for 40 years. That's lovely.
Come on,
if you weren't a TV presenter, what would you be?
I'd like to cut the grass for the council. I think I pulled my groin.
Documentary in a moment.
Debbie, give him a message to camera. We're going to miss you.
Bye, Dan. You will be missed. Love you to bits.
There were a couple of surprises in there. You didn't know that.
It's obviously Tony and Terence together.
There is one very special person, though, that you have shared this sofa with more than anyone else over the last few years. And she's here. Morning, Louise Minchin. Here she is. Yay!
Oh,
hi!
Are we going to break the rule of a lifetime?
Let's hug it out.
Oh,
Come on.
my gosh. Oh,
you
gosh.
look gorgeous.
Oh, it's so lovely. Am I allowed to sit? Where do I sit?
You sit wherever you like.
Oh, gosh, it's lovely. And I say break the moment, the habit of a lifetime, because all the years we sat next to each other, we never touched, did we?
Not even like a little finger there, not even an accidental.
It was
like an electric shock.
Yeah, it was. Oh,
how are you doing? It's lovely to see you.
No, it's really, and it's an absolute pleasure and very emotional to be here. And I know lots of people watching will be very, very sad that you're leaving, because you have touched the hearts of the nation over the last 6 years. I know people have loved watching you. I loved working with you, and you, Sal. But, you know, I know you didn't remember the first day we met. I'll explain to everybody at home.
Go on.
So I was asked to interview Dan Walker, you know, this fabulous journalist, sports presenter, by our now boss. He wasn't our boss at the time, for the RTS. And I went and did this in-depth interview with Dan.
Is this true?
He just didn't remember, because
I'd snapped my Achilles.
Oh, okay.
But I'd come back to work because I needed to, and I was on these really high-strength painkillers.
Right, OK. So that's what he says. Anyway, so our relationship started really well in that he didn't even remember me.
What did you say on those really strong
we
painkillers?
recovered, and we went on to have many years of enjoying each other's company.
So when I knew that he was going to come and sit next to me on the BBC Breakfast Sofa, I was delighted. And, I mean, we just had such fun times, and I remember them all so fondly. And the thing for me, you know what it's like, Sally, sitting here, and there's an awful lot of you watching, and there's quite a lot of pressure that comes with that. And Dan, you know, is sitting next to you, and he is never going to let you down, always going to support you. And I remember you doing it now. There were many moments when I was really nervous, and what I love about you, it's when things are really, really going wrong, and we're doing something that is kind of out there. That's when you're kind of at your best, and you just look me in the eye and you go, you got this. And that's what I love about you. And you see that from the film that we've just seen, and all those relationships you've built over the last many years, is that you do a beautiful thing. You give people confidence, and that is a real gift, Dan. It really is a gift for which I'm hugely thankful.
Did he never give you the giggles? That's the
Did
thing
he ever
with
give
most.
me the giggles? Oh my gosh, there were so many times, so many ridiculous things, you know, and we'd have to be super serious sometimes. But yes, absolutely. I think we've got some of the giggles coming. I mean, the strongman thing, for example.
Yes.
Amazing.
But, you know, you're just sitting there, and then you just go completely off script. And the strongman, I hope we can see those pictures again. That was utterly, brilliantly, Dan, ridiculous.
Stay there. Don't go anywhere.
I don't have to talk.
Hang on.
Right.
You are no longer in charge.
OK.
OK? Just listen to this next bit, because some of the best bits, I think, over the last few years of your broadcasting career have been when you've been out on the road.
Okay.
You've travelled the world, haven't you? You've met some incredible people.
Yeah.
Do you remember you went to Rio for the Olympics?
I do, yeah.
Do you? Do you remember that was a really special time, wasn't it?
One of my favourite times.
He had a great time on the beach. Dan made friends, as he does everywhere he goes. He made friends with one very special person. Let's just take a look at the highlights from his trip to Rio.
Here we go. We're not sure how many of you are still there, because there's so much live athletics on the way on BBC One. Let's see what's going on over here. Looks like some sort of hen do. Can we have a little look, do you think? There they go. A Brazilian hen party. They are clearly enjoying themselves. They seem to be all tied together as well. Magnificent scenes. Maybe that's how you do it in Brazil. No, that's great. We're still live on the telly. So no, we're BBC.
BBC?
BBC, yeah. You can leave graciously that way.
BBC. 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 BBC.
This is lovely.
BBC. BBC.
That, of course, was the brilliant, the wonderful Maria de Cesar,
Yes.
who joins us now live from Lisbon. Morning, Maria.
Oh, good
Hello,
morning.
good morning. Hello,
Oh, little Joanna as well.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Oh, my God.
Oh, lovely to see you. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. And you? Congratulations for your new challenge.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's what I've loved about today, Maria, is, you know, obviously Louise being here and reliving some of those memories. And I still talk about you and your family an awful lot. And it was lovely to meet you. I know it's very strange to meet on live TV, but we're still in quite good contact, aren't we?
Sorry. Did you...
Could you repeat, please?
Yeah, I'm just saying, Marie, we still speak to each other regularly. I wrote a book a few years ago, and I was happy to spend. Oh, there you go. She's always been good at advertising. Are you allowed to advertise on the BBC? I can do what I like now, can't I?
You're leaving. It doesn't matter.
Tell us a bit about how you're getting on, Maria. What are you up to?
Oh. Bye-bye.
Joanna has something to say to you.
Okay.
In 2016, I was with all my friends. Today, I'm with my best friend. And you say, let's go. Be. Joanna. Channel. We're training a lot, but okay, she's shy.
She's not ready yet. Maybe in 20, 25 years.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Oh, she's absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, all of you. Isn't that lovely to see, Maria?
Yeah, it's gorgeous to see Maria. Thank you so much for coming on. I'll give you a call later when I have a proper catch up. It's very strange to do this on live TV, but I hope you're doing okay. Lovely to see you all.
Okay.
Say hello to your mum and dad as well.
Nice to meet you.
See you later, guys.
At least we have this chance to talk with each other.
Yeah, it's always nice to see you. Thank you so much. What a lovely surprise.
And this is the thing that we know, don't we, Louise, that wherever he goes, he makes new friends.
I mean, it's just extraordinary. And I also know that you will call, and that's what I love about you, is that we're not just friends for being on the sofa, we're friends for life, and you do that all over the place. And as I say, it's very, very special.
When I know you played some clips from Strictly there, and you had a lovely clip from Nadia, and she said something really interesting when we were on the programme together dancing. She said, I've watched you on BBC Breakfast, I've seen the way that you interact with Louise and with Sally, and she's just said, I just want you to do that with me, with dancing, and that's what it's all about. I want you to make sure that you give me the space that you give your fellow presenters on Breakfast, and when you see that relationship on Breakfast of two people almost sort of moving together, and, you know, as we did for many years.
Telepathy.
You sort of leave gaps without thinking about it for each other, and you don't tread on each other's toes, and you try and make the other person shine as much as possible. And I think that's what Nadia saw, and I think that's why we enjoyed Strictly so much, because basically I felt like I was doing Breakfast but
dancing at the same
time. In a tailsuit, yeah.
Dancing and playing all your favourite songs.
Yes, exactly.
Which is what we do most mornings anyway.
Yes, I know, yeah.
What's it been like your last day?
It's strange because it's a weird old mixture. I'm sad because I love working with the people here, and the team at Breakfast are absolutely fantastic, and it's a real pleasure to come in every morning. And I love, as I've said to you, I love working with you and the guys who get to sit on the sofa. I had such a lovely time working with Louise for so many years. And it's sadness, but also it's exciting because, you know, you don't get many opportunities like the one I'm going to go and take. And I love a new challenge. So.
Can I do a proper thank you?
Yeah.
I want to thank you on behalf of me, on behalf of everybody who works here on the team, on behalf of the audience as well, because you are kind, you are generous and supportive, and that is just wonderful. And that message goes through millions of households. And just thank you for being like that and being able to be like that on the telly as well. It's been wonderful.
Okay, hold that thought. Yeah. Don't go anywhere. We're not letting you go just yet.
Is it time to finish?
It's 8:59. It's time now for the news, travel and weather where you are, but come straight back. Stay with us. There's plenty more coming.
knows what's going on. We don't have a clue.
I hate not knowing what's going on.
I know, it's driving you mad, isn't it? Yeah. But for everybody at home, Dan has no clue. There's no script for the rest of the programme, so he's just going to have to sit and watch, just like you're watching at home. We've spoken to some of your friends. We've seen the best bits of your years here on Breakfast.
Okay.
Now we have some really special messages from some familiar faces you might recognise. Here we go.
Dan Walker, Dan the man, Lieutenant Dan, my man Dan Walker.
Well, I suppose if I'm going to do this properly, I might as well get changed. Very fractured.
Oh man, Dan right there. I'm telling you right now, as a talent evaluator, I will let you know that man has nothing to offer. That was ridiculous. I thought that was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my entire life. You look horrific. I mean, come on, Dan. It's a good thing you're such a good anchor.
Run, Walker, run!
I'll be flat out honest. Dan Walker is really one of the nicest human beings on this planet. And that is the flat out truth.
Nobody told me to stop, so I just kept on running.
Dan, literally one of the nicest, most humble. He's a genuine guy. Incredible. We love you, Dan. Can't wait to see what happens with you next.
Hi Dan, I'm sure you are well, especially with your new pay packet from the new job. I'm not sure why you are leaving the #1 breakfast show, but money talks here, mate. If you must leave, please promise me you will wear a burgundy suit and make sure that your apartment smells of rich mahogany.
We're all gutted that you're leaving, but thanks so much for supporting Rob and all of the MND campaign.
Thanks for everything, Dan, from the entire Bell family.
Hey Dan, do you remember me, Eddie Hawke, Will's strongest man? Hope you're doing well. Just want to say from me to you, one of the strongest men on earth, to one of the tallest TV presenters on earth, I want to wish you all the good luck in life, mate. If you ever need a lift, you know where I am. Big love the beast. Take care.
Dan, I hope you're well. Getting to know you when we climbed Kilimanjaro was honestly amazing. You deserve all the success in the world. I know I'm not going to be the only one missing you on Breakfast, but good luck for your new adventure and I hope to see you soon. Love ya.
Daniel, you're leaving us from Bournemouth to Brazil, from Russia to Reading. We've been all over the place and you still haven't bought me a drink. We're going to miss you. Hope it all goes well and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Hi Dan, best of luck in the new role. You continue to inspire me with absolutely everything you do, even the dancing. But hopefully you're looking forward to a good night's sleep now.
Hey Dan, just wanted to say that the Ennis Hills are going to miss seeing your face on BBC Breakfast every morning. We want to wish you the best of luck with everything that comes next and keep wearing those amazing colourful socks.
My love, Captain Two Iron. Just in case you didn't know who was sending you the message. I just want to say good luck in the future on Channel 5. You were such a hit on Strictly Come Dancing, and I didn't see you on Breakfast, it's too early. Ridiculous time to be on television.
Dan, I cannot believe you are leaving. You know, Dan's been with us for many a year, and when we first heard he was coming, it filled us with fear. But how wrong were we? And I say this with glee. He's been an absolute superstar, and we'll miss him terribly.
Thank you very much for that, Karen. See you later on.
I think Flash has just spotted a treat. Look, she's gone. She's gone.
We've got a Kirkwood down.
Dan, don't go, just stay. We love you. It's been such a joy working with you and a privilege, and I've learned screeds from you as well. But I wish you well and make sure you stay in touch. Lots of love.
Oh, Carol.
What do you think of that? Oh, Carol, that's it. Carol's the highlight of everything, isn't she?
She's great, isn't she?
What do you think of that then, all your mates?
It's just nice, isn't it, that I love doing this job, and I always find it amazing that other people enjoy watching you do something that you love, and it's amazing to me that millions of people tune in every day, and it's a really important part of the day. It's part of people's furniture, their sort of their lives, and it's a big responsibility, I think, to wake up the nation, and I think we all have felt that, and we know it's important, and that's why we put our all into making sure we do this job to the best of our ability, I think.
On a lighter note, what's been your highlight of the last 6 months? Please say the right thing at this point.
Working with you.
No!
Is that the right thing?
Do you want to tell the truth now? Come on, it was definitely Strictly.
I had a lovely time on it.
You did, didn't you?
I did. I really enjoyed it. I didn't expect to enjoy it.
Did we lose
at
you
all.
slightly to the sequins?
No, I just think
entirely,
it was. I just
a
think
little bit.
I think it was an eye opener into. The amazing thing about it is, I thought I would be terrible, and I ended up enjoying it more than I ever thought.
And you weren't as terrible as you thought.
I wasn't as terrible as I thought I was.
That's largely thank you to one very special person. Good morning, Nadia. Hi!
The two-time world champion.
The two-time world champion. The two-time world champion is on our programme. Morning, Nadia. It's lovely to see you. You are our surprise for Dan. Now, I should just explain, Nadia, you can't be with us because you're actually on tour at the moment, aren't you?
Exactly, yes. And partner, only for you, I would wake up that early. Otherwise, it's 9:30, remember?
We used to try and train, and I used to try and train earlier on the days I wasn't doing breakfast. And I would always say to Nadia, we'll turn up at 9, and she'd wait and pause and go 9:30. So for you to be out of bed before 9:30, this is pretty impressive, Nadia Bychkova. I very much appreciate it.
But with the coffee, always with the coffee, partner.
Always with the coffee. Nadia, what was he like to work with?
He was the best student, and we had such an amazing time, and I was just enjoying my experience on Strictly with him so much. Loved teaching him and loved eating all the biscuits with chocolate and coffee just for me, and all the food we had, all cheese boards. And I know it's about dancing Strictly, but we had so much food during that.
Oh, Nadia, as I've said to you before, and I've said to Sally and Louise knows as well, I think partnership is so important, isn't it? And I've had a great partnership with Louise for so many years, and with Sally for the last few months. And I think that you and I just got on really well from day one. And I think in the same way that I've loved working on the sofa with these two amazing women, it was just a privilege to spend time with somebody who is so good at what they do and was able to teach me something that I thought was so far beyond what I'd be able to do. So thank you, Nadia.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you, partner. I loved every moment. Thank you.
Oh, Nadia, thank you so much for getting up so early for us. We really, really appreciate it. And good luck with the rest of the tour. We'll hopefully see you very, very soon.
Thanks, partner. See you later.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're such a brilliant diplomat. You've got all three of us.
Yeah. Oh, look. Hang on.
Oh, hello.
That's the job.
Come on now.
Matt,
to me, to you, to me.
Oh.
Matt and Nina have a special surprise for you. Let's just look at there. Right, if you sit down, guys, there we go. Look at this. That's got to be the highlight of your Strictly experience. Can we see what that is? Oh, I think my trousers are getting in the way. Look at that. There we go. That way.
Lobstering.
That way.
I did the cake, Matt did the icing.
That's not true.
I think we did very well.
Neither of those things are true.
We were
They're
up all
not,
night.
no.
Oh, the team have come in the background as well. This is great, isn't it? I don't quite know. I don't know how to finish all this off. Do you want me to say something?
I'd like to say thank you
for
looking after me, not just for the last few months, but for all the years that we've known each other, because it's been a really long time, hasn't it?
We go back a long way.
We go back a long way.
Yeah.
You've been amazing, a real loyal friend. You've made me laugh far too much, more than anybody at home knows. I hope we've managed to cover some of that up sometimes. Sometimes.
I just, right from back when I first started, you know, we got on really well from day one. And I think the whole breakfast team, whenever you go out and you meet people on the street and they talk to you about this programme, which so many people love, I think they love this. They love the sort of family aspect of it and the fact that, you know, there are some terrible people in TV, but I don't know any of them who work anywhere near here because we get on really well. We are really good friends.
Hold that thought. Come in, everybody. The rest of the team would like to come in and just say thank you. Come on, don't be shy. Come on, quite quickly.
They do the real hard work.
Hello, everyone.
I'm a lobster.
Oh, wowzers. OK.
So everyone at home, this is just our really hard-working production team. They've been up all night. They work all night to make us look a lot cleverer than we really are. And they're here to say thank you.
Oh, it's lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for coming in. It's always been my dream to do a job like this and work with people like you guys. So, thank you. Can I say a few things?
Do you want to?
Yeah,
now's your moment.
Well, it's come around a lot more quickly than I thought. I mean, you had months to prepare to say goodbye, didn't you? I haven't had that long, but it does feel a bit surreal, I think. The fact that I won't be sitting on this sofa anymore, the fact that I won't be sitting next to you after today. This is my last day. And I think when you're in this situation, as you have over the last sort of half hour, you do look back, don't you? You think about the things that you've done, the stories that you've covered, the people that you've met, And you know that this is lovely, but I hate... part of me hates this because I love talking about other people, and I'm really thankful that I've had so many incredible memories of working on this programme and wonderful moments that this role has given me. And I don't think, we all know, don't we, there aren't many jobs where you get the chance to give a voice to people who don't have a voice and to tell other people's stories. And I think that's what we all love doing more than anything else. And it's been a real privilege to sit here and to present this programme, which we all know means an awful lot to so many people who watch. So the other thing I want to say is thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all the comments, the kind messages and the many lovely words over the years. Thank you. There's so many cards this week. If you
I know,
it's lovely,
a lot.
isn't it? And thank you for the support in loads of different things, including the dancing. And I think that it's safe to say that I and all of us, we never ever take any of that for granted, the fact that people watch this programme and they enjoy this programme and they feel that it's a part of their lives. I also wanted to thank the team on BBC Breakfast. Many of them are in here now. For those around us in the studio, you're all amazing and lovely, and you make this show what it is. And for those in the gallery as well, we can hear them every day, but I know you can never hear them. But everybody, most of the people in this room have been up most of the night making this programme, as they do every day. And you are all genuinely some of the best people that I've ever worked with in my career. So thank you for all the support and the help and the love and the hard work as well.
I love that you're giving this message with a giant...
I know. That's part of the magic of breakfast. And to be serious for a minute, I think at a time when trust and truth have never been more important, it's great to work with a team who I know, and I see this every single day, that we do everything and you do everything to make sure that what we do and what we say is fair and accurate, and that is so important. And I have no idea who's going to sit here in the future, who this job is going to go to, but I hope that they care about the programme, I hope they care about the people that they work with, and care about the viewers as well. And I've got to say, the friendships that I've made here will last far longer than my time on the sofa. I know Carol can't be here today, but we all know, is the backbone of this programme, and we love her to bits, and she's been a true friend from the very first minute I sat here. Louise, you've been amazing for all the time we spent together, and the friendship, I know, has lasted long beyond the time that you've gone here and will go on for years as well. And Sal, if I could say a few things to you, because you are brilliant at what you do, and everybody behind us and everybody watching knows that. And I was so happy when you got this job and got the chance to sit here and do this job, because there was nobody better who could have done it.
Thank you.
And I genuinely mean that. And we've had a wonderful time together. And I think we could have gone on to have, many years enjoying time together on this sofa.
I think so too.
But things change, and change can be tough sometimes, but it's also good. So
OK, Daniel.
And I think
I'll try and remember that.
You can take this show and you can make it amazing, like you've already done. And I think many people, millions of people, will enjoy watching you. And you're a very special person, and we all know that. And I want you to have every success in the years to come. And getting up at 3 can be tough sometimes, can't it? But I've loved
always brilliant. I love it.
But I've loved that because of you and everybody watching as well. So keep watching. Thank you very much for a lovely send-off. Thank you for having me, and see you all soon, guys. Thank you very much.